Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Friday. You have made it to the end of the week. You reward 3 hours and change of 580 Sports Talk on this Friday on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Whether you're watching or listening, whether you're catching us live or in an archive video or in the podcast version, however you're consuming the program, we appreciate you being along for the ride here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski with you. Spencer Dupuy will be back next week. 3 hours today, and I wish I could tell you they were going to be 3 uplifting hours of 580 Sports Talk, but we do have to talk about the Kansas City Royals, so I won't make that promise. The midway point of the Major League Baseball season has arrived. The Royals have played as many games as they will play from today forward. 81 in the books, 81 to go, and the Royals are 5 under the 500 mark as it stands, 38 and 43. Hitting coach might have burner accounts on social media. The vibes are very bad. And to make matters worse, the best offense in baseball comes to the K this weekend. The Los Angeles Dodgers to face an offense that scored all of 1 run total in their most recent 3-game home series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Other than that, things are really looking rosy. So we're going to take a look at the Royals at the midway point and how they got here, and honestly, how impressive it is that they're 38 and 43, given everything that has happened that has not been an ideal scenario for the Royals. The fact that they are within squinting distance of the wild card chase in the American League, actually impressive in a small way.
Yeah, I think every starter should be an all-star, because this is like the MVP discussion in pretty much every sport. Like, well, is it best or is it most valuable? Are you going to tell me that in terms of win-loss record, there's a more valuable pitching staff? Take the relievers in there too. There's a more valuable pitching staff in baseball than the Royals right now, because when you look at that record and how close it still is to 500, and you look at that offense, which is buns, that's the most valuable pitching staff in baseball. And it honestly might not be close. Like, imagine if they were just average. Imagine if, like, every starter at a 4.50 ERA, 1.5 home runs per 9, the 8 strikeouts per 9, like just average numbers across the board. They'd be like 30 and 50 at this point.
League average runs per game allowed, 4.34. The Royals have allowed almost 1 full run less. Yes, averaging an average pitching staff for this Royals team, and we would be doing, it would be wall-to-wall Kansas City Chiefs today on 580 Sports Talk.
We've done it before.
Yeah, we certainly have. We
back in the 4-hour day, or not that long ago,
no,
we'd find a way.
But
how many ways can we discuss Chris Jones's contract?
But again, they're in squinting distance of a playoff spot. When you're only 3.5 games out of a playoff spot, you are a good week away from being firmly back in the mix, particularly when the team that you are 3.5 games behind is the team you're playing 4 times next week on the road when Kansas City goes to visit Seattle. So we do not come today to pronounce the Royals dead. However, I am also going to argue today that the Royals have to trade Seth Lugo. Not should trade Seth Lugo, not should move Lugo if the following conditions are met over the next week or 2. I am going to say it does not matter if the Royals do not lose a game between now and the All-Star break. The Royals need to trade Seth Lugo. And obviously they're not going to if they don't lose a game between now and the All-Star break. And hey, if they don't do that, and I spoke that into existence, I'll give you my Venmo on the show before the All-Star break, and you can send me tips as a thank you. The Royals got to trade Seth Lugo. They have to. Whether they're in this or not, whether they are committed to being in it or not, whether they add anywhere else or not, Seth Lugo has to move. And I'm going to explain why a little bit later on in the show. Also, it sure looks like Royals hitting coach Alex Zumwalt is doing the most on social media, and not in a good way. But how big a deal is it, really, if he's in the DMs of Kansas City sports ex-personalities? And how big a deal is it if he has a burner account that's getting into it with fans? What does that really mean? We'll get into that, because I know the drums are beating to depose the current Royals hitting coach. We'll talk about how much the extracurricular stuff is a big deal. So there's Royals to get to, but of course we will get to the Chiefs today. It is a Friday after all. Our Chiefs insider Matt Derrick joins us every Friday on 580 Sports Talk. We'll talk to Matt bottom of this hour, get his thoughts as we begin that fallow period between the end of minicamp and the start of training camp. We'll get his thoughts on a topic we'll discuss later today. Is it more likely that the Chiefs will have a top 10 offense in 2025 or a top 10 defense in 2025? We'll take a look at the numbers, what they said last year, and which of those outcomes is more likely. And our countdown to Chiefs kickoff continues, 70 days away from the Chiefs opening their season in Brazil against the Chargers, and the Chiefs don't have a number 70. And rather than skip ahead to my guy, Grandview High School's own Mike Pinnell, who is number 69.
I do love Mike Pinnell, though.
I also love Big Mike. Not just because he was born here and went to the same high school in Aurora, Colorado that I did.
And started his career with the Packers. He's hitting all the high spots.
He really is. He's a sentimental favorite for so many reasons.
Shoot, he even played D2 football.
Yes, he did. He is a sentimental favorite for so many reasons. But we're going to jump over him, and I haven't looked at who number 68 is. Mike Caliendo, is he 68? I don't know who 68 is. It doesn't matter. We're not doing a show on Sunday. That's 68 days, so we're not talking about who number 68 is. But we'll continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff here on the program.
No, don't worry. You'll get Mike Caliendo next week.
Okay. Trey Smith will be next week. Yeah.
The Chiefs number 68, if we were going to do a show on Sunday, doesn't matter. There isn't one.
Oh, perfect.
Nor is there a 67.
Have they retired either of those numbers? Because my first thought was, did they retire number 70?
Oh, yeah. They're one of those dumb. Oh,
no,
all right.
They have not. No. 70 is not retired. 68 and 67 are not retired. The next retired number we'll encounter is number 63 for Willie Lanier, who, much to your chagrin, was a linebacker who wore number 63.
So you'll do this again next Friday, because that'll be 63 days.
Perfect. We'll talk about...
there's no show next Friday. Holiday.
Oh, that's right. 4th of July. Man, we got to skip Willie Lanier. That's a bummer.
Wow.
We'll
disrespectful.
We'll do something with we'll do something with Willie on Thursday. How about that? Anyhow,
breaking news: no show on the 4th of July.
Plus, all of the things you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, a round of On Second Thought, Change My Mind. We got our June semifinals of What Is Wrong With You. We're down to 4 weekly winners this week. We had the week start on a Monday, so the only short week winner is this week, so we could do the semifinals. 4 stories. I think they're all really good ones. We had a lot of Monday winners that I think all of these stories, in fact, were Monday winners that survived the whole week. So it's a strong crop of What Is Wrong With You. Plus, we want to hear from you as we go along today on the program. Get at us on the text line, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the chat on our YouTube stream if you are watching along on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We're now 2 YouTube subscribers away from a round number 750. Who will get us there today? Who are the 2 heroes listening to this show right now who are going to get us to 750 YouTube subscribers? All you got to do is open up YouTube on your phone. You've got it on your phone. You got it on your tablet. You can type youtube.com. Go search for 580 Sports Talk and smash that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything but time. And I need 2 heroes. Where are my heroes today who are going to get us to 750? If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, you're missing out. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Hello to everybody in the chat today. The Gilliland family is in. Good to see you. Vance, Mark H., Ryan is in the chat already today. Tyler is in as well. Appreciate you folks tuning in today. Look forward to hearing from you and others throughout the show in our YouTube chat. I'm going to do a hypothetical. Hindsight's always 2020, but we're going to do a hypothetical, Brendan. We're going to go back to March 26th, which was the last show that we did before the start of the Major League Baseball season. The Royals opened on March 27th with an extra inning loss for the Guardians. It was a day game. We did not have a show. So let's go back. I'm going to take you back to that show, March 26th, when all three of us, yourself, Spencer, and me, we all picked the Royals to win the American League Central. What if instead on that day, on the show, I told you this is what is going to happen in the first half for the Kansas City Royals? What do you think this Royals season looks like if Bobby Witt Jr. isn't Superman, if he's merely very good and not historically great for a season? And what if Father Time starts to get the upper hand on the captain, Salvador Perez, and he produces at his lowest level offensively of his career? And what if the Jonathan India trade is a bust? And while he's a slight upgrade on what the Royals have had in the leadoff spot, he's not nearly enough of an upgrade. And what if your power in the corner outfield last year, MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe, are no longer on the Royals? One of them's in Omaha and the other's unemployed and probably will not see a major league field again. And what if, in addition to all of those catastrophes on offense, what if Cole Reagans misses extended time? And what if, in addition to that, both Seth Lugo and Lucas Erceg spend time on the injured list this season? All of those things have happened to the Kansas City Royals in the first 81 games. Would you have guessed they would have won as many games as the 38 that they have won through the first 81 games of the season? Because I wouldn't have.
No, probably not. Probably not.
I sure wouldn't have projected that they would be where they are, given all of those things are true. That Bobby Witt Jr. has been very good. I don't want to undersell Bobby Witt Jr. He's been very good. He's been something shy of great, which he was at the plate last year. Salvador Perez putting up the worst OPS of his career. Jonathan India's on-base percentage lingering in the 310s. It's not elite. It's not close to real good in the leadoff spots. Better than what the Royals got last year. More about that in a second. MJ Melendez is in Omaha and in no real danger of hitting his way back to Kansas City anytime soon.
I would like to interject with something really quick.
You may.
Okay. One of our very close friends, been a friend of mine for a long time, been a friend of yours for years, our former co-host, Fulton Caster.
I remember Fulton. We love Fulton.
So MJ hit a home run yesterday. Okay. And MJ hit a home run down in Omaha.
Happy to hear that.
Since May 1st, Fulton posted this on the Everything app yesterday. Since May 1st, MJ Melendez, 44 hits and 183 at-bats, 10 doubles, 8 homers, 29 runs batted in, 9 walks, 51 strikeouts.
Oh, no.
That's a 241 average for nearly 2 months. The walk to strikeout ratio is still very concerning, but he is finding a groove ever so slowly. Might be seeing him back in KC sooner rather than later.
He's striking out a third of the time in AAA.
I love Fulton. He truly one of my favorite people and personalities I've ever encountered in my life. I almost called like a hotline yesterday for someone to come in. I almost called for a wellness check. 241 in like Savannah Banana Ball, AAA, International League. And, well, maybe, no, this is where we are. We've got the biggest Royals fan I know thinking, maybe this guy who has always sucked will not suck because he's only slightly sucked for the last 2 months. That's where we are.
Anyway, I say all of that to say, like, there's a best case scenario and there's a worst case scenario for how a season can go. And the Royals have had things beyond their control that have meant that this season has been a lot closer to the worst case scenario than the best case scenario. And in that context, it's a testament to the quality and the depth of this pitching staff. It's a testament to how good even a non-Superman version of Bobby Witt Jr. is. He's still almost worth 4 wins in the first half of the season. And a testament to a welcome breakout. The one thing that has gone better than hoped for the Royals this season. I guess not the one thing. Chris Bubich has been terrific. Noah Cameron's been a revelation. Steven Cruz, a nice emergence in the bullpen. But like the biggest deal offensively has certainly been Maikel Garcia. And it's a testament to all that this team can even squint and see a playoff spot. So I'm not buying the idea. Vahe Gregorian in the Kansas City Star today, well-respected columnist, always read Vahe. And the crux of his article in the Star today was that the Royals should be better than this. And I don't know that that's true. I think they're really fortunate to be 38-43, given everything that's gone wrong. And then there's two ways to look at that. One, we misevaluated everything about this team. They simply do not have the juice unless they have absolute top echelon performance from the top of their pitching rotation and their best hitter in the lineup. And if they don't get that, they're not capable. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is they've banked 38 wins in a worst case scenario first half with injuries, with underperformance. And some of that underperformance has kind of started to turn a little bit. Salvador Perez's OPS is up around 800 for the month of June. Maybe he is going to warm up with the weather. That would be welcome to see. But the other way you look at it is, hey, 38 wins when everything's going wrong. What happens when something starts to go right? What happens when some of this bad luck with runners in scoring position starts to turn? Because they've been well below average and well below expectations with runners in scoring position. What if that turns just a little? What if that starts moving in the right direction? Because as we talked about yesterday, the bar's not high for the offense to get over. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of a shift in a positive direction, a little bit more of the fortune they got last year, where it felt like every time they needed a hit with runners in scoring position, they got it. What if that happens in the second half? And I think the answer to that is they're still in this thing, because there's really not anybody in the wild card hunt that I think is so exceptional that it's going to take like 90 wins to get into the playoffs. Mid-80s probably does it, and I think that's still attainable, but it's a really long way to there from where the Royals sit today right now.
So that would be great. That's my official response. That would be grand. Like, there will be the batting average and the OPS with runners in scoring position will not be this bad in the second half, because just statistically and probability wise speaking, that's just not going to happen. If it does, we're talking about one of the worst offenses in the 160 years that we've been playing some form of organized baseball, right? Here's the downside of this, though. Or the pessimistic view. Sure, things will turn around because of probability fluctuation. What if this is Salvi? Like, that he's not, in all likelihood, he's not going to get better. I almost said the same thing about Vinny. He's been better, but he's also right now not the guy, even though he's been better over the last month and a half, and there's no denying that. And I like Vinny Pasquantino for a lot of reasons. If he's never going to be quite the power guy or even the contact guy you thought he was going to be, given his profile as a prospect, okay, that sets you back there a little bit. Witt, I think, is more like what he was last year than what he is this year, although it's hard to be a 10-win player, 9.4, whatever the hell it was when he was insane last year.
He's going to be one of the most valuable players in the American League. He's just not probably going to hit 330. And the Royals could use a guy hitting 330 right now.
I guess that's just kind of my general point, is that I think there is a very real chance here that this not that last year was a fluke. I had that argument with Trenton, actually, our buddy Trenton Craxton from Royals Review the other day. I don't think last year was a fluke for anyone, frankly. I think a lot of guys played really well. They had to cobble it together in September, but they deserved what they got. Mm-hmm. I do worry, though, like, Vinny might never be the guy we hoped he would be as a prospect. Salvi, and again, in all likelihood, not going to get better. Long-term, even beyond this season, it's not going to be easy to replicate a pitching staff like this. We were just joking the other day about the Mets staff from 14, 15, 16. Uh-huh. You know what? They won a pennant when they were all healthy that one year. That went to you-know-what fast. Like, I guess it just worries me that last year appeared to be more fragile than I realized. And this year, one little, chink in the glass turned into a spider web really quickly, when I thought the floor for this team would be, how do I even want to say it? I thought the floor for the offense would be higher.
Yes.
The pitching being this great, not good, great, has elevated the team's floor to playoff contention despite awful offense. But I didn't think the offense would quite bottom out to this degree. And that's the thing that has me a little bit worried about just how much they can turn it around.
This is, I think, a really fascinating look at how frustrating the offense has been for the Royals. They are only more productive this year than last out of 2 of the 9 everyday spots in the batting order. They are getting better production from the leadoff spot, which, of course, last year that was the sticking point. That's why they went out and got Jonathan India, because they couldn't solve the leadoff spot last season. They had a 270 on-base percentage as a team from their leadoff hitters. This year it's been 324. That's better. It's not great, but it's substantially better. They've been better in the leadoff spot. They've not been better in the 2-hole because Bobby Witt Jr. has been a little less offensively than he was last year. They've not been better in the 3-hole. That was mostly Pasquantino last year, and his power has taken a big step back this year, him and everyone else. They're not better in the cleanup spot because Salvador Perez has been worse this year. They're slightly better in the 5-hole this year, just by about 20 points of OPS. That's Michael Garcia. After that, in the 6-hole last year, Royals number 6 hitters had a 675 OPS. That stinks, right? That's not real good. That's well below average. The guys who batted 6th the most in the Royals order last year were Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez, Freddie Fermin, and hysterically Nelson Velasquez. But 12 different players batted in that spot, and those were the 4 guys who batted in that spot more than 20 times, and they put up a 675 OPS, and that's not real good. Royals number 6 batters this year have put up a 508 OPS. That is mostly Jack Caglione, Michael Massey, and Hunter Renfroe, with 8 other guys thrown in there, Drew Waters, Mark Canha, and the like. 6, 7, and 8 in the Royals lineup. Those spots of the order have all posted OPS below 600. That is putrid. If you have a player who's OPSing below 600, you're trying to get them off your team, or you're trying to get them out of the lineup every day, unless they are like platinum glove caliber at shortstop or in center field or behind the plate. That's hideous. And the Royals, you don't need me to tell you this, they weren't really great shakes in those lineup spots last year. Hysterically, the 9-hole has the exact same OPS this year as last so far, 661. Shout out to Kyle Isbell, like a ticking clock. You know what to expect from old Kyle Isbell. But that just goes to show you the problem that the Royals had last year has actually exacerbated this year. It's been worse. And we talked all year last year, the formula was the big dogs had to eat. Well, when the big dogs are eating less, everything else kind of crumbles around it. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, how big a deal is Alex Zumwalt's, are his Twitter fingers, let's say? Well, we'll discuss. Plus, Matt Derrick's going to join us for our Chiefs Insider on 580 Sports Talk on this Friday. 3:32, just getting rolling on this episode of 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Brendan with you today. Bit of a stir yesterday on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, the everything app. Do your financial business on X. Give your banking account routing number to X. Apparently, Royals hitting coach Alex Zumwalt, who has come under fire in recent days and weeks. Can't imagine why. Apparently, he has been searching for tweets that have his name in them and reached out via direct message to at least one. I don't know that prominence the right way to say it, but like if you follow a lot of people who tweet about Kansas and Kansas City sports on Twitter, you're probably familiar with who Braden Turner is. He ain't no seats podcast. He got in his DMs. They had a little back and forth. And that led to potentially the revelation that Alex Zumwalt may have had a burner Twitter account, which existed to defend Alex Zumwalt. I'm not the guy who is going to sit here and say everything wrong with the Royals offense is Alex Zumwalt's fault and everything wrong can be fixed by firing the hitting coach. I don't necessarily know that that's true or not. The Royals have a lot of guys who I don't think are big league caliber hitters playing a lot and getting a lot of at-bats. I don't know why Jonathan India can't do any damage on fastballs in the zone. I don't know why Bobby Witt Jr. has stopped doing that this year. I don't know why Jack Caglione hasn't been able to do that since he's been called up. Surely the hitting coach has a little something to do with that, at least. If they fired him in the next 5 minutes, I would not ardently argue that he should be retained. I think it bears mentioning that Matt Quatraro didn't hire Alex Zumwalt as hitting coach. That he was in that role when Quatraro got the job. So if there is to be a scapegoat, it feels like kind of an obvious one. But do you think that process may have been, those skids may have been greased by the online behavior of the Royals hitting coach?
Yeah. Look, it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but it's the last thing you want when your team is playing badly. Like, it's one thing if you're mediocre or good and like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time doing this? But when your team can't hit and that's your department, the last thing you want is your hitting coach going after goofballs on Twitter. Your hate only fuels me. What are you, 12?
Fuels you to do what?
Your job, I hope.
feed the jugs machine better? Like,
yeah,
watch more film?
It doesn't really matter, but I think you have to ask the question, whether it's extreme or not, are you focused on the right things right now? Because that doesn't really feel like you're focused on the right things. And I'm not saying that every single waking minute has to be game plan and hitting and drills. I saw someone say that Quatraro's lost the clubhouse because Vinny and Cags were playing video games together last night. They posted about it on Instagram. You've never had a bad day and wanted to go blow off some steam playing Call of Duty? Like that's a very normal thing to do. But a coach in a position of leadership going after fans on Twitter, that is a different kind of blowing off steam that feels like you're focusing on the wrong things.
Vinny, for what it's worth, kind of went to bat, not directly mentioning Zumwalt by name, but said in his post-game remarks after the loss yesterday that we're as prepared as we possibly can be. Mm-hmm. We don't feel like we're unprepared. And that's a vote of confidence for your hitting coach, whether he said Zumwalt's name in that or not. But it's not good enough right now, and it would not be a surprise move at this point. Let's say that. It would not be a surprise move for the Royals to move on from their hitting coach, especially given, again, that he wasn't Quatraro's guy. Quatraro didn't hire him. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll switch gears to the Chiefs. We'll talk to Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City for our weekly chat with our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. Check out his work there, ChiefsDigest.com. Joins us every Friday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. And Matt, we do a countdown. We've been doing our Chiefs countdown to kickoff every day on the show, and we've been doing it by player number, jersey number. It's 70 days till kickoff. The Chiefs don't have a current number 70. So I'm going to ask you right here, right now, Matt, who is your favorite Chiefs number 70 from the Super Bowl era, the Mahomes era of the Chiefs? Kalichi Osemele, Prince Tega Wanogo, Malik Herring, or DJ Humphries? Who's your favorite number 70 of that group?
Oh, wow. Man, that's an illustrious group right there. I mean, how has that number just been avoided like the plague?
Great question.
Man, Malik's not even wearing 70 anymore, though.
No, he wore it in 2022.
So, I'd kind of give it to Malik, but he's not 70 anymore, so he doesn't kind of get that. Gosh, it would Osemele and Prince Tega were just both such cool guys. They didn't do much, but Kalechi, until he got hurt, was a monster. So you know what? I'm gonna go with him.
Kind of forgotten that he was on a Chiefs team because he had that injury, but he was sick, Matt. Like, he was awesome with that team. It was the exact kind of lineman they needed. Someone who was just gonna run you over, a true road grader. I was really bummed when he got injured because I thought at the start of that year he was gonna be a freaking all-pro for that team.
Yeah, and you're right. He definitely brought exactly the attitude that team needed at the right time, because it wasn't even just the road grader. It's just that he just had that, if you're in my way, I'm going to take you out mentality. He was, as the players like to say, he was a dog, and he had a lot of that dog in him.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. For the record, the most accomplished number 70 in Chiefs history is Jim Nicholson, who played right tackle from 1974 to 1979 and was, like the Chiefs in that era, aggressively whatever, like just kind of fine. Maybe less than that at times, which the Chiefs certainly were through the mid-70s. The most well-known number 70 is probably Marcus Spears, although for nothing he really did as a Chief. More so for being on TV. More so for his media career. Let's talk about the Chiefs. Matt, we're going to tackle this question a little bit later on in the program, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. Is it more likely in 2025 that the Chiefs have a top 10 offense or a top 10 defense?
Ooh, really good question. I feel like, I think the safer bet would be to say that they're going to have a top 10 defense, just because the defense has been consistently pretty good. And I think it's going to be better. They're 15th the last 2 years. So if they're better, I don't think they're going to be like one spot better, 14th. I think obviously they should be top 10 as well. That's a really tough question. I would probably, like I said, I'm probably going to get to the defense just because they've got the best recent track record. They're obviously replacing a couple of guys that are going to be important to them. But man, you're stumping me on Friday. That's not hardly fair.
My apologies. Make your brain work on a Friday. Yeah.
Matt Derrick is our guest. He is our Chiefs insider.
I gotta go defense. I'm going defense.
We're talking to Matt Derrick. Okay, going defense there. I'm still determining. We're going to talk about this in about 20 minutes or so. I'm still determining what my answer is going to be. Matt, of course, writes for ChiefsDigest.com. Joins us every Friday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Here's another one for you, Matt, on the offensive side of the ball. True or false? Outside of Patrick Mahomes, it's Rashee Rice as the individual who will have the biggest impact on the Chiefs' success or lack thereof this year.
Ooh, that's another really good question. I would say that I think there's a reasonable chance of that. I think the other obvious choice would be your left tackle, whomever that may be. If it's going to be Josh Simmons, then Josh Simmons for sure. But yeah, after that, I think you're right, because let's face it. Travis Kelce is not Travis Kelce anymore. He's still an important player, but he's not a 1,500-yard player. Who is the 1,500-yard player on this team? It's Rashee Rice. And if he can stay healthy and he can be even a reasonable facsimile of what he looked like last year before the injury, he's going to be the most important part to this defense taking that next step. So I would have to agree with that, with just the caveat being that, I mean, the answer couldn't be being the left tackle, but I think it's going to be one of those two players.
I know you get asked this question by people on radio shows like us, probably by your readers, the people who consume your podcast with Nick Jacobs, 41's the mic, probably just random people in your life as well. So my apologies for the repetitiveness. But is Josh Simmons going to start week one? Because it's starting to feel like Josh Simmons is going to start week one.
It's another really good question. I mean, I feel like the momentum is going that direction. Now, obviously, the big step is going to be July 27th when they put the pads on for the first time and what he looks like. Because at this point, he's passed all the other tests. His footwork looks good. His speed looks good. Agility, all of that looks good. Football IQ is there. Chiefs have seen everything that they need to at this point. And obviously, we've talked about him being ahead of schedule. Right now, he finished the mandatory minicamp at a point where the Chiefs thought it would be at least until maybe mid-August is where he was going to be. So he's way ahead of schedule. The question is just, is he still going to have the power in those legs? And you'll start to see a little bit of it when the pads come on. But to me, and Jalen Moore fits into this part of the question too, is just that, you've got to be aware of any red flags that you see. Because last year, I feel like, I talked about this, I feel like, we probably ignored some red flags that were out there about Kingsley Suamataia. He struggled in training camp. He struggled in one-on-one. Anybody that went to training camp, could see that there were moments that Kingsley just didn't look comfortable, didn't look right out there. And yet, hey, Andy Reid and Andy Heck told us it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Well, that's not going to fly this year. I mean, if Josh Simmons is struggling in one-on-ones, and I'm not even talking about struggling against Chris Jones. I'm talking about struggling against Malik Herring. I mean, if we see that, then I think there has to be some more critical questions this year. I don't think there's any doubt, though. I mean, the Chiefs are enthusiastic about where he is. I mean, based on what we saw during the mini camp, I mean, I would still expect that Jalen Moore is probably going to be the first left tackle to take reps. Could be surprised. I think that the Chiefs also want to kind of, let Josh Simmons earn that spot. I don't think that they want to go, maybe make another mistake that they made last year, which was just handing the starting role to Kingsley Suamataia and never really forced him to fight for it.
Matt Derrick is our guest. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. He's our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. The left guard spot. I want to ask you what happens if Suamataia is not good there. And like in a literal sense, okay, well, then Mike Caliendo plays. But kind of big picture and conceptually, Matt, what happens if Kingsley Suamataia is bad at guard as well?
Yeah, it does wonder if, there's a fallout from that. It's just, I mean, especially, we'll couple Josh Simmons into this. Much as Josh Simmons has looked ready to go and everything, if things falter or Josh Simmons doesn't play well, and now suddenly you have both Josh Simmons and Kingsley struggling, I don't see how the spotlight escapes Andy Heck. I mean, at some point it's got to fall on the coaching, because it's one or the other. It's either coaching or scouting that you're having trouble, developing young offensive linemen. So you got to ask yourself, what's the problem there? And so it's really odd. Here I am saying that the Chiefs don't want to get themselves into a spot where they were last year, where they just gave Kingsley the left tackle job and make him fight for it. They're kind of in that spot again right now, because they seem to be ready to give the left guard spot to Kingsley without making him fight real hard for it. I mean, Mike Caliendo's in the conversation, but I mean, based on what we saw during the offseason workouts, I would expect that Kingsley's going to be taking guard snaps from the beginning. I'm not sure that Caliendo is going to be in there very much. I mean, he seems like pretty locked in as maybe the number 2 left guard, back up behind Trey Smith on the right side as well. So I'm sure they'll move him around a little bit, but I just don't know how much we're going to see of much of a real competition at the left guard. And I honestly, I mean, there's a possibility that of the three of them, Hunter Norzad's the best left guard of the future. Who knows? But I think it's a really interesting question about if Kingsley does struggle again. How do the Chiefs respond? What do they do? Who kind of steps into the breach next? But I think it's also going to be, like I said, it's going to raise some questions after the season about how do you ensure that your development of young offensive linemen gets better going forward.
We all know that Travis Kelce is going to have a role in Happy Gilmore 2. We'll never escape him and his brother. They will be on TV and in movies and everywhere for the rest of our lives and probably well into the next life. But he's going to have a role in Happy Gilmore 2. And Shooter McGavin, actor Christopher McDonald, was asked about Travis Kelce and said he was actually surprised by how good of an actor he is, that he's a tremendous guy, but also revealed that he has a love-hate relationship with Kelce. This is all real. He did an interview with SI. Said he has a love-hate relationship with him because Shooter McGavin, is a Buffalo Bills fan. How much does this change your opinion of Christopher McDonald, the man who plays Shooter McGavin?
I mean, it just seems perfect in retrospect. I mean, come on. I mean, Shooter McGavin being a Bills fan and just the Bills being the runner-up all the time, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. That just seems totally on brand for Shooter McGavin.
I believe that's Mr. Mahomes
like he's probably
is.
A Bills fan and like a Yankees fan too.
We're talking to Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. He joined us on the Fleming Place Wine Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. The Chiefs have until July 15th to get a long-term deal done with right guard Trey Smith. That deal is not done yet. Is there any expectation that it won't get done, or concern, I guess is the better way to phrase this, that it won't get done, or are both sides still pretty confident that that'll be worked out before training camp and report date?
I mean, the word from both sides originally, especially on the Chiefs side of things, is that they thought it would be wrapped up sometime in the spring, and we are no longer in the spring. And I'd be very surprised if anything got done next week, because once again, it's a holiday week. This is a break for the league. Most people in front offices, if not most agents, are probably also on vacation and on beaches right now. So I'd be really surprised if anything got done before the 4th of July holiday. Doesn't mean it can't, but you're really kind of looking at that window between the 5th and the 15th as maybe something getting done, and probably even ignore next weekend too. So you're probably really talking about that just week of the 7th through the 15th if anything is going to get done. I mean, I don't know what would be holding up the deal at this point if they're not that close. Now, deadlines do make deals, so maybe it's going to move something, but we haven't heard from either side, that any movement whatsoever. No, there hasn't been any expressions of optimism. There hasn't been any doubt. And honestly, if anything, I'm continuing to get a sense of just contentment, I guess it is, Chiefs, that if they had to have Trey play on the franchise this year, that they're okay with that. The salary cap going up more than expected changed the equation. I mean, at one point in the spring, they were not planning on tagging Trey Smith at all. And then once the increase in the salary cap came out and the cap was going to be higher than they thought it was going to be, that changed their thinking. That was like, okay, now, they could tag him and just keep him for one more year. And, we talked about the left guard position. I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you have long-term answers. I mean, you could certainly say to yourself, buckle up, let's go one more ride with Trey Smith as the right guard to try and make the transition. If Juwan Taylor played last year too, go for it with this group and see what you can do. And next year, you've got Hunter Norzad, you got Kingsley Suamataia. Those could very well be your guards next season. But it seems really odd considering how gung-ho both sides seemed at one point about getting a deal done, and now we haven't heard anything in months.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. He's our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Joins us every Friday at this time on the program. Matt, we're off next Friday, so we'll have to figure out another time to bring you on next week, but we look forward to speaking to you whenever that may be.
Time is great with me. You know that. And if you don't hear from fans next week, happy 4th of July, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Will do. Hey, thanks again, Matt, for your time. Appreciate you.
Talk to you guys next week.
That is Matt Derrick. We will step aside for a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. Come back and wrap up the hour with a quick change my mind after this. right, quick change my mind here. Final segment of this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. The Big 12 Conference announced today it would not publish a preseason media football poll. They will not solicit the opinions of Goombas like us to determine their preseason media poll this year.
Jerks.
Changed my mind. The Big 12 are cowards for doing this.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I saw this on Twitter today it was definitely Twitter, that the preseason poll hurt the Big 12 last year because Arizona State was picked last and then won the league, so that hurt their perception. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The Big 12 will always have that perception. We all need to understand there is the SEC, the Big 10, and generally speaking, everyone else. The Big 12 is better than the Mountain West or the Sun Belt or the American. Yes, true. That does not matter. The powers that be do not care. Arizona State could have been picked first. Wow, we didn't know till the final week of the year they'd win it. Wow, they must have been disappointing.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
The whole idea that it was somehow a demerit against the Big 12 that the preseason that the champion was rated as low as they were in the preseason poll. No, that had nothing to do with the perception of the Big 12.
Maybe the league was just insanely strong. And
yes.
Last place was, almost as good as first place anywhere else.
No, I think it's lame. I think it's, and not just because I like voting in the preseason poll. It's kind of a fun exercise to do. And not just because it's great content and
right.
It shorts us a whole bunch of segments, but no, I just think it's lame. I think what you're shooting for something a level of regard that you're just not going to achieve through that way. Coming up in the next hour, top 10 offense or top 10 defense for the Chiefs, and why the Royals have to trade Seth Lugo. That's next. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on a Friday afternoon. So glad to be with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and, of course, on our video stream. You can catch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you are listening to the program today, we appreciate you being a part of the audience. We thank you so much for being with us on 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzynski is with me. Spencer Dupuis will be back next week. Big shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube, where we did it. We crossed the threshold. We are at 751 subscribers. I asked for 2 heroes. I got 3.
Wow.
Now I need 49 more.
Enrique Iglesias was certainly one of them. Yeah, 800. We arm wrestle.
800. Brendan and I will arm wrestle on camera during an edition of the show.
Yes. Fact.
That will happen.
That is our promise to you. I can't promise you a whole lot, to be completely honest with you, but I can promise you that. So we got to get to 800.
Maybe you heard me say
I'm ready.
You've been pumping some iron?
Ready and willing.
I haven't picked up a weight, but I have picked up my son a lot.
That's a weight.
In the last 12 and a half months. 27 pounds at his year-old checkup. He's a big one.
That dad strength is different. It's real because you have to get strong to lift these dang kids.
It is so real. But as of late,
these damn kids.
As of late, my neck has started to hurt so bad. I've got like a pain in my neck. And unfortunately, I think it may have been exacerbated by a game that my son discovered that he likes to play. He does like to take my hats off of my head. If I'm holding him, he'll look up at me and he'll grab my hat off of my head. And sometimes he'll just let it drop to the floor, but other times he'll actually put it on, or he'll play peekaboo with us. And it's adorable.
Nice.
But of late, it was the other night, he put his hands on my chin and kind of pushed back, and I threw my head back all dramatically, and I made like a gargling sound, like, you got me. And he thought that was hysterical, and he wanted to keep doing it. And I had to keep doing it because he was laughing, and that was, I didn't want to stop playing with my son. Unfortunately, as it turns out, snapping your head back, even slowly, like I just did for the benefit of those watching on the YouTube channel, doing this a bunch hurts a lot. Makes the neck hurt a lot. So don't let your child get the idea that throwing your head back is a game. It ain't a game. This neck pain is not a game.
No, that's not fun.
Took the massage gun to it and everything. No dice. Did not loosen it up. Not even one bit.
Oof.
So got that going for me right now, which is nice. This has been 580 Dad Talk. We're gonna get him in the pool this weekend. It's gonna be gonna be a pool weekend. We're gonna get him back in the pool. We had him in the pool last weekend. You know those, like, if you own a pool, you got the nets to like skim, debris out of the pool, get your leaves or acorns, whatever might fall in the pool. If you've got like a tree or, branches or whatever, you got nets to clear out the water. Well, my boy decided that was the best pool toy, was one of like the handheld nets. And we said, well, what if we took this away from you? Nope. Not an option. That was the end of the world. So he just hung out in the pool, sitting with his mom or me, death grip on the net. So that was we had all these pool toys, all these fun pool toys. Nothing more fun than the skimmer net. So it just goes to show.
Next time it'll be the box instead of the toy itself.
Well, I mean, that's how it always works, right? Like the most fun toys are the things that are not toys.
Yeah.
That's that be like that. It just is. Anyhow, coming up this hour, 580 Sports Talk, we got our semifinals for the month of June on What Is Wrong With You. 4 stories. All of them were wire-to-wire winners. Monday champions that made it the entire week. So it's a strong field for What Is Wrong With You June semifinals. And I'm going to tell you why the Royals have to trade Seth Lugo. And I think this is a different answer to the question that we had folks asking in the YouTube. We had folks asking on the text line yesterday. Is it time for the Royals to pivot towards selling? And my answer to that is different than my answer to the question, should the Royals trade Seth Lugo? Because the answer to that is yes. And if they win, if they sweep the Dodgers this weekend, and you ask me on Monday, well, should the Royals trade Seth Lugo? Yes. The Royals should trade Seth Lugo, no matter what else it is that they do, whether they go and get an outfielder or whether they decide that they want to trade everybody and that there's everything must go for some reason. Whatever tack they take, whether they are buyers or sellers, they need to trade Seth Lugo. And I'm going to explain why. But we will start this hour by first letting you know that you can interact with us in the YouTube chat if you are watching on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. And yes, go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. And you can text the show, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. I'm going to start with the question that we asked Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, in the last hour. And thanks again to Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com for joining us today, as he does every Friday. Something that you, when I was off, you brought up kind of offhand with Spencer on the program, Brendan, and maybe bantered about it for like 30 seconds. But a broader discussion, I think, can be had about this question. What is more likely for the Chiefs in 2025? A top 10 offense or a top 10 defense? Let's start the discussion with the facts of the case from last year. Lots of different metrics you can use. We'll use the raw stats and we'll use some of the more advanced metrics here. Offensively last season, the Chiefs were 15th ranked in the NFL. They were the 15th ranked scoring offense. They were the 16th ranked total offense, so right in the middle of the league. They were 22nd in total rushing yards and 12th in total passing yards. Now, of course, all of those numbers are context-free, right? Like, doesn't adjust for your quality of your opponent, doesn't adjust for the number of possessions you have, doesn't adjust for any of that. Some of the metrics that do adjust for context were a little friendlier to the Chiefs. They had the 8th ranked offense in the NFL in DVOA. They had the 9th ranked offense in EPA per play, expected points added per play. And they were 7th in the league in success rate, something we talked about at length last year. We talked about at length because, yes, the Chiefs may not be explosive offensively, but they are converting their opportunities. They are having successful first, second, and third down plays, and they are moving the ball successfully more often than not. So the nerd numbers, which we sometimes tongue-in-cheek call some of those advanced stats, they all had the Chiefs as a top 10 offense in the league last year. Defensively, last year, the raw numbers were a little friendlier. The Chiefs were 4th in the NFL in scoring defense last season, 9th in total defense. They were 8th in rushing yards allowed, 16th in passing yards allowed. Turn to the nerd numbers, a little less favorable. They were 12th in DVOA. They were tied for 15th in EPA per play and tied for 15th in success rate, though it should be noted that those numbers, particularly DVOA, took a big hit in Week 18 when nobody was trying, and they lost to the Broncos. You can also, though, say that about the advanced stats on offense as well, right, that they took a hit, but they still ended up in the top 10 in those metrics. They were just outside the top 10, closer to the middle of the pack in some of the more advanced stats on defense. Given the facts, given what we know, what is more likely for 2025? That the Chiefs have a top 10 offense or a top 10 defense? And I am inclined, even though it doesn't make for maybe the most robust discussion, I am inclined to simply say any team with Patrick Mahomes is more likely to have a top 10 offense. But the Chiefs returning to that level, both in terms of their raw production and the metrics, is contingent on them being more explosive in 2025. Because not only can't it be what it was, what it has been the last 2 years, I don't want it to be what it was or what it has been the last 2 years. Because it has won a lot of football games, but it has also been extremely unpleasant to watch. Mm-hmm. So I do think, I do believe the Chiefs when they say we want to be more explosive. We want to push the ball down the field more. I think they came into last year with the anticipation they were going to be able to do that. And then Hollywood Brown got hurt on the first play of the preseason, and Rashee Rice got hurt in week 4. And they had to turn the offense into the Travis Kelce show, but Travis Kelce was so limited in what he could do by that point that it really didn't work out. Then they lost the juice in the running game when Isaiah Pacheco got hurt, so the running game wasn't what they expected it to be. I think given better health and another year for a lot of these guys in the scheme, like Xavier Worthy and like Hollywood Brown, I have no reason to believe that not only will this not be a top 10 offense, but I think it will comfortably be a top 10 offense in the NFL in 2025.
So I have gone back and forth on this. By the way, I dabbled with the numbers a little bit here. If you only go through week 17 last season, so you take out that meaningless Bronco game, the Chiefs were 10th in EPA per play defensively, 15th when you add in week 18. They moved 5 spots because of one game. You want to talk about fake statistics and stats not telling the entire story. There you go. But they were effectively top 10, other than a game that they literally did not try in. So they were right on the fringes of that last year. The offense, some efficiency metrics kinder than others. I've been going back and forth, and while I want to say offense, because I have bought all the way in on Rashee Rice, I think he is better than some people give him credit for. I think, and maybe this is me just kind of being optimistic and hoping for this, I think there's going to be a change in play calling. I think we are going to get away a little bit from some of those mid to late aughts West Coast offense staples that Andy Reid always is going to gravitate toward. I think we are going to get away a little bit from that, and I think the Chiefs are going to try to be a little bit more explosive. I think they'll add something to the run game. I hope they add something to the run game, hopefully healthy along the offensive lines. That stays good. But I am going to side with defense, and I am going to give you the most boring reason why. In order to get into the top 10, I think there are more teams that the Chiefs have to jump or contend with to be a top 10 offense than a top 10 defense. Like, think of all of the good teams in the NFL and how many, or even teams that aren't good but have a good offense. Like Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's got a better offense than the Chiefs. Not a better team, not even close, but they got a better offense. You got Cincinnati, who's always there, and Baltimore, and the Bills are up there. And
all right, well, then I want to stop you right there because you've named all the quarterbacks who can even be considered in the same league as a Patrick Mahomes. So all these other teams you're going to name here, and I'm curious who you consider the top 10 offenses or top 10 caliber offenses in the NFL. My rejoinder would be they have a quarterback as good as 15. And that's the guy who can make a lot happen for this offense.
I agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the other thing, though, trying to think if this is going to help or hurt my case. Like, I think those 3 teams have better supporting casts than the Chiefs do, which we talked about earlier in the week.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
But yeah, I think the Chiefs, let me put it this way, should have a top 10 offense every year, without question. I think it is still probably a little bit more likely that it ends up being the defense that falls in that category. Because again, I just don't, defenses are more volatile from year to year. And the Chiefs took the ball away more last season than they did in the, 3 or 4 years prior. But they still could do more in terms of creating turnovers, taking the ball away, stealing possessions, etc. So I'm still going to lean defense here. I think there's less resistance to get into the top 10 because you factor in, you factor in a Miami. Like, Miami's going to put up a ton of points and a ton of yards. They're also only going to win 9 games at most, maybe 8. But they're going to put up a ton of points because it is, especially those offenses. San Francisco is one of those. The Rams are one of those. The Vikings are one of those. All those offenses that are from the Shanahan tree, the Alex Gibbs tree, they put up crazy efficiency numbers. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So there's a little bit more to contend with there. I do agree with your assertion, though, that if you've got Patrick Mahomes, you should be in that category. I do agree with that 100%. I just I want them to be there. I think there is a good chance they are there. I do have a little bit of I need to see it to believe it, though, with the offense.
So I think, though, one of the points you made regarding the possibility for defensive improvement is really interesting, and that's the turnover department. The Chiefs were 14th in the league in turnovers forced last year. Pretty mediocre in that department. And that can be a number that really wildly fluctuates. And I think the Chiefs had some pretty lousy fumble luck last season. If I'm remembering right, maybe this is anecdotal. Maybe this was the Buffalo game most of all. But there were fumbles throughout the year, and the Chiefs didn't really recover their fair share. You'd expect given the way the ball bounces, you'd expect a fumble recovery to be a 50-50 proposition. And teams that do not recover half the fumbles are said to maybe have bad fumble luck, where teams who recover more than half are said to maybe not have or have really exceptional fumble luck. So there might be more good fortune in the turnover department this year, because there's no reason that the Chiefs, with the level of talent they have, I mean, it very well documented that it took until, what was it, week 14 of this past season for Trent McDuffie to record an interception, or was it week 13? He had one against Cleveland, right? Everybody got one against Cleveland, and then he had one the next week against Houston. So he had 2 in 2 weeks. That was week 15, the Cleveland game. So it took until week 15 of year 3 for him to get a pick, and then he got one the very next week. But McDuffie's the kind of talent where you'd expect him to create more than 2 turnovers in a season. And I think that there is the potential for more turnovers forced, which would allow the Chiefs to move up the defensive rankings. I also think, flip side, the Chiefs were a little careless with the football in the early portion of last season before they tightened that up, and they didn't turn the ball over from week 12 to the conference championship game. So could they turn the ball over less in the regular season, and could that allow them to move up the offensive charts a little further? I think it most certainly could. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
The other thing you have to consider is, okay, the Chiefs were 14th in the league in turnovers forced last year. They forced 20 turnovers. 6 of those were in one game against Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
So, throw out the most unserious football game of the season, and the Chiefs only forced 8 turnovers in the other 16 games.
Do you think both will be top 10? As opposed to which one is more likely, do you think they both will be?
14 turnovers, correct my math. Do I think they both will be? I kind of do. Like I feel like they ought to be. I don't look at. I guess let me put it to you this way. I think the potential, and this might kneecap my argument, but the potential hindrance for a top 10 offense feels more real to me than the potential hindrance for a top 10 defense. And that's, what if the left side of the offensive line isn't any good?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. I think that's entirely fair.
I think there is a bigger chance that the answer to that is a -1 for the Chiefs than any question I come up with about the defense being like, I guess the biggest question I have, and I mean, we'll do this as we get closer to training camp, but as we're sitting here today, as I'm thinking about the Chiefs defense, the biggest question I guess I have for them might be the turnover margin. Mm-hmm. Like, can they be a team that forces essentially more than 1 turnover per game? Can they be a turnover per game defense? Because last year, again, I know they were, but they were at 14 in 16 games. Let's be real. The Jameis Winston game was a farce. So
they often are.
Can they be better forcing turnovers? Because I feel like their pass rush should be in good shape. I feel like their secondary should be in really good shape. It's a bigger question, I think, on the offensive side, but we've also seen the Chiefs make, shake, and have top 10 offenses, even with, substandard offensive line play.
And the efficiency, success rate types of metrics, those are going to, the Chiefs will be darlings of those statistics because of the way they have moved the ball in recent years. And if they if they lose even a little bit of that in the name of adding explosion, then yeah, they can be as good as anybody. Just running through my head though, like I can see a world in which the Chiefs land outside the top 10 offense. I'm not going to say that they will, but I can see a world in which that happens. I don't defensively, to be honest with you, given just the floor of talent, the high end, all pro kinds of guys they have, like Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie, among others, who's calling the plays and designing the defense. I don't see a world in which they're outside the top 10, honestly, unless they just cannot stop the run at all and just get destroyed like, 17, 18, 19, and those defenses going into the first year of Spags even. Like, that's the only way I can see a defense that doesn't finish there. Might only be number 10. I don't think there's an argument that there are 10 defenses better than the Chiefs right now. I really don't. And gotta wait for the games to be played, obviously. But I think you can more easily argue it for offenses than you can for defenses. And by more easily, I mean, I think there is an argument at all offensively. I don't think there is one defensively.
Couple of questions from the YouTube comments I want to get to. Again, if you're watching the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, jump in the chat, and we appreciate the interaction from our listeners. Paul asks, why draft a burner like Xavier Worthy and not send him streaking down the field more often than not? I think that was sort of the plan for him last year, and Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown getting hurt really messed with everything. And so they needed him to be a more versatile wide receiver and be sort of like that underneath option that Rashee Rice was going to be. And the other part of that was the deep ball chemistry was just flat out not there with Patrick Mahomes. It didn't show up until the second half of the Super Bowl.
I think there's something else to play here, and I might be in the minority of this because generally, speed is the name of the game. Speed kills, all that. And you don't want to lose speed. I would be thrilled with Xavier Worthy going from a 4.2 40 to a 4.3 if he put on some weight and could beat press coverage. That, to me, I think is the bigger issue, because if you, teams are going to rough him up at the line until he proves that he's not going to be knocked off his bearings at the line. And there's plenty of film out there. If you can get the NFL 22 coaches film, there's a lot of that out there. If he bulked up even a little bit, just so he's not completely sent off course by a jam at the line, I think he could be deadly going down the field with some of those vertical, go balls, deep post fades, whatever. I think he needs to add a little weight. I do think that is something he's got to do, or muscle mass or something. I think he's a little bit small. So I think they're kind of compensating for that by saying, all right, we're going to try to get all of this explosive yardage after the catch. Just get him the ball and let him use that speed, as opposed to bumped at the line and now timing is off. And now we've got to go check down, second read, third read, whatever. I think he's got to bulk up a little bit. And I think if he does, he can be really dang good at that. Because if you're just running a 4.3, you can still get open a lot stacking cornerbacks.
That is a separator for him, no doubt. Mark H. asks, we think the running game will be better or the same this coming season. I think he's got a chance to be better if Isaiah Pacheco can rediscover some of that explosiveness that he clearly lost with the injury last year. And if Rashard Smith is a better option in the running game as the third back than Samaje Perine and Carson Steele were last year, Kareem Hunt is, you need a yard, he'll get you 3. And if you need 5 yards, he'll get you 3. We know who he is. That's going to be about what we expect from Kareem Hunt. But whether the running game is better or worse will have a lot to do, I think, with what does Pacheco look like.
Let me give you this take. I think of every position group on the field for the Chiefs this year, I think the widest range of outcomes is in the running backs room. If Rashard Smith is that dude, and Isaiah Pacheco is healthy, even if you don't love him, if he's healthy and effective.
I'd love to say, and if Elijah Mitchell were healthy, but he's never been healthy.
Well, there's the thing, unfortunately. You just have no proof he can be. But you can get kind of a nice thunder and lightning thing going. If Smith can't be that guy right away, and suddenly there's a lot more Kareem Hunt in the running game diet, I do not feel especially great about it.
Texter from the 785 asks what the likelihood of Smith being more utilized as a receiver is. They like to use their receivers in the passing game. But here's the trick about that. They like to do it on third down. So what do you have to do if you're on the field on third down? You have to be able to pass protect. So Rashard Smith's playing time is going to, I think, be dependent in a lot of ways on how he's a blocker. Because Jerick McKinnon, outstanding blocker. Samaje Perine, great at picking up the blitz. Isaiah Pacheco struggled at that for a while. That's why we saw so much of Jerick McKinnon in the early portion of Pacheco's career. I think he was getting better at it last year, and then he got hurt. We didn't really get to see it.
It's why they signed Perine in the first place. Was his blocking ability.
One more offense question from Paul. More likely to make the roster, Elijah Mitchell or Carson Steele?
Mitchell.
I kind of think the answer is Mitchell.
I think it's Mitchell.
Better football player. Just flat out. If he's healthy and it's down to those two, then Mitchell will make the roster.
And now if Steele doesn't get a 53-man roster offer, I think he'll be back on the practice squad because, again, Mitchell's always hurt. But I think opening day, I'd rather go with the higher upside.
One defense question from Vance in the YouTube comments. Does this need to be a breakout year for Felix Anudike-Uzomah? We sort of touched on this when we were talking about him in our countdown to kickoff when we got to number 91, which will be his number this year, much like it was at Kansas State.
Good vibes.
It needs to be a breakout year for Felix Anudike-Uzomah for Felix Anudike-Uzomah's sake. it doesn't need to be a breakout year for him for the Chiefs' sake, because I think they have enough depth, and they drafted Ashton Gelati, and maybe he's the guy who's going to be that third pass rusher coming off the edge behind Karlaftis and Amenahu, but certainly would behoove Felix with the decision on the fifth-year option coming up next offseason to show that he's worthy of that. So for Felix, it needs to be a breakout year for Felix. But for the Chiefs, I think they're pretty well positioned with a group of Karlaftis, Amenahu, Gelati, Felix, and Mike Dana to have a pretty good mix and some good depth there on the edge, rushing the passer. Thanks for the questions. We appreciate them. Get them in the YouTube comments or text them, 785-272-9429. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More listener participation, I'm sure, coming as we do our June semifinals on What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. What is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk is brought to you by our guy, Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan, Mo Winkle. Holler at Mo today, 785-273-1572 for your insurance needs today. We've got 4 stories on our June semifinals of What Is Wrong With You. We'll get down to a championship pairing, and we will crown a June champion on Monday's show, and then we'll be half full in our field for the Tournament of Failed Champions coming up in December. Our first semifinal features this weekend's winner, the Harried Husband Hideaway. Davenport, Florida, 44-year-old Jocelyn Charles squatting in a rental property for 4 days to avoid a fight with his wife. 4 days.
He made himself a new home, man.
He did.
Phone was charging. He drew a bath. He was making snacks. He had a clubhouse.
He really did. He was treated like a tree house. Like,
no girls allowed.
remember what was it on Calvin and Hobbes? Gross. Get rid of slimy girls. GROSS. Yeah. my guy had gross at somebody else's rental house. Yeah, nobody else is in here. And honestly, whatever the police are going to do to me can't be worse than this argument I'm in with my wife.
Nope. I'd rather get that felony charge.
That's going to take on won the lotto, lost the girl, and the money. We go to Canada for this one. Our guy Lawrence Campbell of Winnipeg bought a lottery ticket January of 2024, gave the ticket to his girlfriend. It won $3.6 million. He let the girlfriend deposit all the money into her bank account because he didn't have one. Then she left him for another guy. So he's suing the woman and the lottery corporation and the place that sold him the lottery ticket.
So he has money. He doesn't have a bank account, but he has enough money for a lawyer?
Maybe he found somebody who felt bad enough for him to take it pro bono.
Oh, man.
For the record, this was not like a gradual deterioration of the relationship. She took the money and ran. It was within days when he literally found her in bed with another man.
Man, I want to go with the harried husband hideaway here because I think that story is so funny. But I think I've got to go with lost the money and the girl here. I almost feel like I have to. It's just one blow after another. Losing the money is one thing.
Right.
Her leaving you is another. The fact that you had to give her the money because you didn't have your own bank account. Open one, bro.
Seriously.
Go swing. You can open one at Commerce Bank in like 20 minutes.
I'm sure Scotiabank would have been happy to open a bank account for you.
Oh, God. Yeah, man. Oh,
and
that's brutal. That might as well be the monthly championship for me. I'm going to go with lost the money and the girl. Oh, that's tough. It's like picking between my kids.
Yeah, he didn't have a valid government-issued ID, so he couldn't even collect the winnings. So
how do you not have an ID?
I don't know how you don't get an ID. That I'm not sure of.
Man.
Like living off the grid.
I guess.
So just gave her the ticket. Yeah, hang on to this. I can't be trusted with it. You hang on to this. And I won, but I don't have an ID, so you go get the money. And I don't have a bank account, so you take all the money. Like, no wonder she left, man. This loser didn't have an ID. This loser didn't have a bank account. There's no future here. Go find a man with a bank account.
Seriously.
Go find a man. You know what's sexy? A routing number.
You know what really gets me going? Making a deposit.
A checkbook.
Jeez.
Won the lotto, lost the girl, and the money is moving on to the championship round in June. The other semifinal, last week's winner, Cowboy Cody from Kentucky. Guy's name isn't really Cody. It's Jonathan Mason. He went into a bar in Kentucky where he had previously been banned for an incident where he was drunkenly riding and beating a mule. And he went into the bar with a raccoon that he had trapped, and he set it free just to cause some problems.
I am going to ruin everyone's day.
Yeah, they don't teach you to ban me. But the mule and I were just having a frank exchange of ideas.
Oh, man.
So that's Cowboy Cody. The other semifinalists, give me a tip or I empty the clip. This was my story, and then I left for vacation. You guys really liked the story because it won the week. 59-year-old gentleman in Vancouver, Washington, who went to the home of his who was the DoorDash driver of a 19-year-old, didn't get tipped, went back to her house with a gun to demand a tip. And then got beaten up by her dad. Yeah, by the woman's dad. Pushed him down, took the gun. He drunkenly returned to the house. Let's not leave that detail out.
Yeah.
So, he knew it was a bad idea when the cops showed up. So that's give me the tip or I empty the clip. Two good stories here. What do you like?
I'm going to go with the latter. It's just so crazy that he waited till the next day. It wasn't right after. He didn't go back to his car and say, all right, I'm going to make sure I get my tip before I leave. No, he waited until the next day, got liquored up, and said, oh, wait, remember this? I'm going to go back to her house with a gun. It's crazy to go back in the first place.
Yeah, it's wild.
But
holding
I'm
on
go
to
that one.
Holding on to that disrespect. That's what was the old Dave Chappelle sketch when keeping it real goes wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't play like that. You're not going to tip me? Yeah, that's an example of when keeping it real goes wrong, for sure. No disagreement from here. We have the story that Vance calls the clip tipper, and we have the story that Light Chart, welcome Light Chart into the YouTube chat, that calls lost the money and the honey from north of the border.
Nice.
That's well done. Those are our two finalists for the month of June. That's going to be the championship matchup. We will determine a June champion on the Monday episode of What is Wrong with You in 580 Sports Talk. What is Wrong with You? Sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mowinkle.
Mo!
Check out his website, Ryan Mowinkle. That's MOHWINKLE.com. When we come back, why the Royals must trade Seth Lugo. That's coming up, 580 WIBW. .445 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, hanging out with you on this Friday. Royals and Dodgers tonight, a 7:10 first pitch. Noah Cameron on the hill for KC tonight. Dustin May, big redhead, will go for the Dodgers. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30, which means we'll have some 580 Sports Talk overtime for you. We'll re-rack our conversation with our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, for that. There's a lot of consternation in Royals territory these days, and I get it. It has not been fun to watch them play baseball for the better part of the last month and a half. They've lost 5 in a row. They are on pace for 76 wins. That would not be playoff caliber. They're 3.5 games out of a playoff spot in a very crowded American League wildcard picture, and 12.5 behind Detroit in the American League Central. And those things make the Royals feel like pretty obvious sellers if things don't turn in a positive direction right away. Now, the good news for the Royals is there's always an opportunity for things to turn in a positive direction. They play tonight, after all. And no, this is not going to be an easy weekend for the Royals taking on the Dodgers, but they do have 4 games with Seattle, who is the team that the Royals are 3.5 games back of for the final wildcard spot following the Dodgers series. So even if they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, they could go and get 3 out of 4 from Seattle, and all of a sudden they're back within decent reaching distance of a wild card spot. So all is not lost as we sit here today. So I am hesitant to proclaim with my whole chest the Royals should be sellers. The Royals should be trading anything that's not nailed down. They may get to a point, and if they continue to play, particularly hit the way that they have, it will be undeniable that that's what they need to do. But I think regardless of what happens here in the next couple of weeks leading up to the trade deadline, the Kansas City Royals have to trade Seth Lugo. And they have to trade Seth Lugo because Seth Lugo isn't going to be on the 2026 Kansas City Royals. He's just not. Barring Lugo suffering a long-term injury that would keep him out for a chunk of next season, he's not going to pick up his $15 million option for 2026. He's outperformed his contract that the Royals gave him. Great piece of business by the Royals, by the way. Like that all-time great free agent Royals contract, Seth Lugo. And he has performed at a level that will probably make him worth something in the neighborhood of $20 to $25 million a year for the next couple of seasons, again, provided that he stays healthy. And I don't know that the Royals will be willing to pay that for a pitcher who will be 36 next season. So Seth Lugo is not going to be a part of the 2026 Royals. But let me ask you this question. This is the pitching rotation right now for the Royals. Right now, right this second, the pitching rotation is comprised of Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha and Noah Cameron and Chris Bubich and Michael Lorenzen. If you remove Seth Lugo from the equation, you're going to have to plug, like if you did it like today and you had to find another starter for this weekend series because Lugo's set to go Saturday, and you had to find another starter, you're probably talking about calling up, honestly, at this point, Rich Hill. Although I think Hill pitched yesterday, and he was really good at 8 strikeouts in his most recent AAA start. He might still have it. Dick Mountain might still have it.
I still have it.
You're probably thinking about calling him up. Maybe it's Kyle Wright, even though he's still working through some things down at AAA, first time pitching in a year and a half. That's all understandable. But Cole Reagans is going to pitch again this year. By all accounts, he's going to rehab his rotator cuff strain and be available by hopefully the end of July, start of August. And then if the rotation for the final 2 months of the season is Cole Reagans, Chris Bubich, Michael Wacha, Michael Lorenzen, Noah Cameron, well, it's pretty left-handed, but also, is that appreciably worse than the version I just spelled out? If, like, you sub out Lugo, but you're replacing that with 2 months of Reagans and a month of AAA guy, like, can you get similar quality over the final 3 months of this season from that?
Sure. Yeah, I think you can.
Assuming that Reagans does come back healthy. And
well, there's the worry is that he has not been healthy for more of this year than he has been, which is the concern.
But you've
got Rich Hill in the back pocket.
Right. And if you take that risk, if you take that gamble and say, we're going to trade Seth Lugo and we're going to plug in Rich Hill or whoever for 4 to 5 starts, then we'll get Reagans back. And then our rotation sets up with Reagans leading it in the final 2 months of the season, with Bubich having his breakout year, with Wacha pitching well, with Cameron pitching well, and with Lorenzen as the 5. I don't think you're a whole lot worse off than you are right this second with your pitching staff with Lugo and Reagans instead. I really don't. So I think the Royals can afford to move Seth Lugo, and then the fact that they're not going to have him next year in all likelihood means they kind of can't afford not to. Because if you lose him for nothing, you don't get a chance, And it's going to be the best chance the Royals have because, okay, yeah, let's say they shift into full seller mode and they're taking calls on Carlos Estevez or John Schreiber or Angel Zerpa or Jonathan India. Do you think right now you're getting like a lot of value in return for those guys?
You might for Estevez. Well, no, I take it back. I think you really would for Estevez because he has that extra year. And, I mean, he's been really good. He should be an all-star this year.
But Lugo's your most valuable piece, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get the most in return for. And the idea then is that you can get some guys in that trade who will help you in 2026 and beyond.
Because Lugo will not.
And Christopher lands on the perfect analog for this in the YouTube comments. Jack Flaherty last season. Having a nice year for the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers were able to turn him into Trey Sweeney, who not having a great year this year, but he's only 25 and looks like he could be potentially at least a long-term big leaguer. And in a best-case scenario, because he's dealt with some injuries this year, he could be the long-term solution at shortstop for the Tigers. So they got a guy who helped them, and then they turned around and they re-signed Jack Flaherty because the market came back to him a little bit, and now he's helping them compile the best record in the American League. But they traded Jack Flaherty, and they made the playoffs anyway. They got hot anyway. And I think that would still be, if the Royals are going to turn the ship around in the second half, they can do it whether Seth Lugo's a part of this or not. And when you factor in the ability to get some pieces that would be helpful for you in 2026 and beyond in exchange for a player who will not be, I think it's very clear. I've heard some reporting. Matthew Trueblood, who does some writing for Baseball Prospectus, also covers the Chicago Cubs. He has sources that have suggested to him that there's been some contact between the Cubs and Royals regarding Lugo.
There should be.
Cubs certainly have some minor league pieces, some hitters at the upper echelon of their minor leagues. That,
a lot of them.
Could be.
Cubs have a really good top-end system right now.
You know, whether it's a Kevin Alcantara, who's had a disappointing minor league season, but was a big deal prospect coming into the year, or Owen Cassie, who's been really well regarded in their system for a while. If somebody like that could come over for Seth Lugo, the Royals have to do it. The Royals have to do it, and then you're crossing your fingers every 5 days with a Rich Hill, Kyle Wright, whoever in your 5 spot until you get Cole Reagans back, and then you see if the offense can make a run, and then you're better positioned for 2026 as well. I think that's a separate answer to whether or not the Royals should be sellers. They don't have a whole lot else other than Lugo to sell, but they absolutely have to trade Seth Lugo.
I don't disagree.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with On Second Thought next on 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, Brendan, I'll let you start.
On second thought, I thought I wasn't a movie guy. It turns out, though, according to the New York Times, I am. They released their list of the top 100 best movies of the century. And I did mine. They had you can do your own 10 and vote and share it on social media, whatever. 5 of my favorites since 2000 made the top 100. And I also considered Borat in there as well. That also made the list.
I've only seen the top 30 list, and I've only seen 8 of those movies. I'm just not a movie guy. I can't really participate in movie discourse like that. I will say this, though. I've seen a lot of people put on their top 10s and it made the top 30. The movie Boyhood. That is the worst pile of garbage I've ever seen in my life. An achievement of filmmaking, to be sure, but that movie sucked.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch paint dry than watch that movie again.
No, I get it. Yeah, Dark Knight, Anchorman, Uncut Gems. Those were all on it. Oh, there were 2 more as well.
I saw Uncut Gems, yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
I can't do a lot of like film discourse, so I always kind of feel like I get left behind. People do the whole film discourse.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, love that movie. Yeah, I felt pretty good. I had some that made the list.
I got to do my top 10. It would not be very well regarded, but mostly be Will Ferrell comedies and Adam McKay comedies from the 2000s.
I mean, I would regard that highly.
I put the other guys to be in my top 10.
That's a great movie. I watched it twice on cable in a week earlier this year.
That is one of my absolute favorites. I need to run that one back. I don't know. I'm sure Abby's seen it. I got to run that one back. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll revisit some of our Major League Baseball predictions. There's a whole lot of on second thought there, plus preview the Royals and Dodgers and do headlines on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of the day on this Friday. So it's the final hour of the week here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski hanging out with you for one more hour here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. Our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Our Facebook page is WIBW News. However you are joining the show today, thank you so much for being with us here on 580 Sports Talk. We got one more hour, then we'll do a little overtime, take you to 6:30 when we'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals and Dodgers tonight, first of 3 at the K. Noah Cameron, Dustin May, your starting pitching matchup. First pitch again at 7:10 tonight. Royals trying to avoid, as Christopher points out in the YouTube comments, a winless calendar month at home, which they have not achieved since April 2012. They lost every home game they played in the first month of the 2012 season. And hey, 2 years after that, they won the pennant.
That's true. Can't argue with that.
So, Royals trying to avoid that. They are 0-10 at Kauffman Stadium in the month of June, and these 3 won't be easy. With the best team in the National League. One of 2 teams with 51 and 31 records coming into today, sitting atop all of baseball. The other, of course, as we all expected, the Detroit Tigers. We'll talk about what we expected would happen and what really hasn't happened, or what has happened that we thought might happen for the first half of the Major League Baseball season, revisiting some of our predictions from the season's beginning. And we'll also get into that Dodgers-Royals series. We'll talk about whether the Royals can keep pace with the Dodgers on offense. Stop laughing. It's not very nice. Anyhow, talk some baseball as we go along this hour. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. Want to hear from you in the chat on YouTube. Always enjoy our listeners chiming in on the YouTube stream. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the program. The number is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. I went back and looked. So according to that New York Times list, the best films of the first quarter century, the first quarter of this century, Parasite, the number 1 choice.
That won Best Picture a couple years ago.
Yes, it did. I have not seen it.
I did not see it either.
Number 2 is Mulholland Drive. I have not seen that.
David Lynch, remember hearing about it, have not seen it.
Number 3 is There Will Be Blood. Never seen it, but I know that it's where the I Drink Your Milkshake comes from.
Yeah, sounds badass. I've not seen it.
Number 4, In the Mood for Love. Never even heard of that one.
You know it, brother.
The film buffs here on 580 Sports Talk. Number 5, Moonlight. That also won Best Picture.
Yes, Moonlight came out the same year as La La Land, which sucked. Awful movie. F-. Everyone who was in it should be ashamed of themselves.
Have you seen Moonlight?
No.
Okay. Number 6 is the first movie I've seen, and truthfully would probably be my number 1 choice. No Country for Old Men. I think that was the best film of the last 25 years.
You know, amazingly, I have not seen it, but I have a list running of I'm preparing to get into Westerns. We're very close. We're going to do some spaghetti Westerns.
You're going to get into your Western era?
We're going to do some modern Westerns. We're going to do I have seen Tombstone, but Tombstone's going to be in the 90s Westerns. We're going to hit all of them. So that one's on the list.
Paint Your Wagon?
Yeah.
It's a musical.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting ready to see that one. It is on the list to watch.
It's a whole Simpsons bit about Homer renting Paint Your Wagon and then being so disappointed that it was a musical.
Yeah.
Anyway, rounding out the top 10 from the New York Times, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Have seen it. I watched that in school.
Really?
In an English class. Yeah, my teacher was bizarre.
Nah, I never.
Good movie, though. They made me like Jim Carrey, which is very hard to do.
Number 8, Get Out. I meant to see it, and I never did.
I never saw it.
Number 9, Spirited Away. Have not seen it.
No.
Number 10, The Social Network. I have seen that multiple times. It's out. It's really good.
We talked about that a while back. I have not seen it.
Reportedly, Aaron Sorkin, who wrote the movie, in talks to develop a sequel.
I saw that.
A sequel to The Social Network.
The second The Social Network.
Facebook's been in the news of late. So, no, it would not be about, Twitter, which would be funny. Like it's the social network too, but it's about a different social network. It's about Tom from MySpace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's an anthology series.
I would watch a movie about Tom from MySpace.
Apparently, he's just like really into photography and loves being rich and out of the spotlight. Which, hey man, that sounds pretty cool. Him and Randy Johnson.
The other movies that I have seen on this list, I saw number 14, Inglourious Bastards. I did see that one.
Where do you have this, by the way? Because my subscription's not working.
I believe Twitter or Blue Sky user Razball had tweeted the list of the posted the list of the top 30. Just a couple of screen grabs.
Okay.
I have seen number 14. I have seen number 16, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Though I didn't see the ending because the projector broke at the theater I was at with my buddies.
That's awesome.
We were watching that. Also, it does not seem right that came out this century. It must have been 2000 because I remember seeing it like with my middle school friends.
Wow.
I started high school in 2000. So I seen Wolf of Wall Street. That's number 20 on the list. Good film. I have seen Boyhood, number 23 on the list. Terrible. Just awful. So boring. You can't even believe it. I saw number 27, Adaptation. I watched that in college for a college course about adaptations of books to films.
I do not recall that one.
Very meta. What's his name? Is it Nicolas Cage is in that? Meryl Streep, I think. Adaptation, pretty good. And I saw The Dark Knight, number 28.
Yes, Nick Cage is in that movie.
But yeah, that's it. Those are the ones that I've seen. The top 30 movies of the last 25 years, and I've seen less than a third of them.
Oh, okay. A couple quick thoughts here. I've seen Zodiac. Zodiac's pretty good. I'm a little surprised it was that high, but I've seen Zodiac. All right, so Brokeback Mountain, obviously controversial when it came out. Super, super well regarded. Lost Best Picture to Crash. Crash is another movie I watched in school.
Crash is the second worst movie I've seen the last 25 years.
That movie sucks.
It is garbage. It is treacly, preachy garbage. And it is insulting.
It is so bad.
It is insulting to the intelligence of everybody who watched it. And the fact that it won Best Picture that year is stunning.
You did not mention Grand Budapest Hotel or the Royal Tenenbaums. What are your feelings on Wes Anderson?
One of my very good friends from college, Wes Anderson, was named Wes Anderson.
That's very funny.
And I also liked The Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay. I like Wes Anderson. I haven't seen his most recent two films. I really wanted to see Asteroid City. Currently, The Phoenician Scheme is in some theaters. He only knows two colors. He knows teal and sepia. Those are the only colors he knows.
Correct.
And every movie has the exact same group of actors. I did put his Moonrise Kingdom on my list of top 10. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Great film. Bruce Willis is in it. Yeah, it's great.
No, like I know I've said this when it comes to 580 movies talk. If I'm going to sit down and watch something for 2.5 hours, it's probably a ball game. Like,
if I'm going to sit down and watch something for 2.5 hours, it's probably Anchorman with commercials. If I'm being honest with you.
Now, look, there's nothing wrong. Like, some movies are classics for a reason. There have been some movies like Moneyball made the top 100. I enjoyed that. Really good. Certainly, I wasn't joking about the comedies of Will Ferrell and Adam McKay of the 2000s. Like Step Brothers, I unironically believe is one of the great movies of the last 25 years. Same with Talladega Nights.
Yeah, I love Talladega Nights.
Borat, you mentioned Borat was on the top 100?
Yes.
I saw it in college.
Dude, Borat is so funny.
So the hardest laughter in a movie theater that I've ever been a part of in my life. Two answers to that question. One was I saw Borat in a theater that was full of other college kids. Like everybody at DePaul had the same idea. We were going to go to the theater in Plainville, like 30 miles away, and we were all going to watch Borat the same night. And a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds laughing like idiots. The other is when they snuck an Applebee's commercial into the climactic scene of Talladega Nights. I thought the theater was going to fall down. I thought I might die.
It's right at the end during the climax of the movie.
Yes, like the cars are flipping. Cal Naughton Jr. and Ricky Bobby have just gotten to a wreck at the end of Talladega, and the cars are flipping. And I think it's Mike Joy who says it. We'll be back after this word from our sponsors. They start running the Doctor, give me the news. Applebee's ad that was popular at the time. I was gasping for air in that movie theater. I thought it was going to fall down.
Dude, 2003 through 2010, I don't think Will Ferrell was touchable. Just banger after banger.
No, even the ones that weren't good were still great.
Yes.
Like Semi-Pro still has
Yeah,
I've never thrown up in my life.
Filmmaking credits, probably not very good, but hilarious.
Oh, man.
You call me a jive turkey?
I might have to revisit. So I've got all the, like, Blades of Glory. Referring to Denver as the city by the bay is something that I will still do from time to time.
Okay. You've seen Superbad. That's on the list, right?
Yeah, Superbad's
great.
There are parts of Superbad that have aged better than other parts, but
yeah,
like all the jokes they get off at McLovin's expense, still pretty unimpeachable.
You see Up?
I love Up.
Part of the charm of Superbad is that the actors hated each other. That they they had chemistry, but it was all negative chemistry. They hated each other, which I think is very funny.
Up was really good.
I'm running out of movies I've seen. Looking at the top 100 right now. I just keep gravitating back towards the movies I like. I'm just gonna keep watching what I know is good.
Yeah.
I loved Uncut Gems. I only could watch it once because it legitimately gave me anxiety.
Yes. No, the
end of the movie like made me genuinely uncomfortable.
Yes, there are some movies that are only meant to be watched like one time.
I put it on my list though because I loved it so much.
And then there are movies that are meant to be watched 0 times, like Boyhood and Crash.
I'm glad Crash didn't make the list.
Thank God.
That movie stunk.
Oh, it was so bad. So many great actors in that movie too, just totally wasted on the most nonsense story.
Prime Sandra Bullock.
Yes. Best part of the movie. Best part of just about
That's
every
another
movie
one I watched. I watched it in school. Apparently, I had film buffs who built our curriculum.
What were you doing?
In a speech class. It was a class, like, how to give a good speech. And we watched Crash for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't remember a lot of real good speeches in that movie.
No.
Let's get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we?
Yes.
If we're out of movies that we saw that were good.
Remember some movies.
Yeah, that was what we were doing, remembering some movies. Let's start with night number 2 of the NBA draft was last night, and at its conclusion, 2 Jayhawks landed with NBA teams after the draft. That's a headline from fog.net. Hunter Dickinson signing a 2-way contract with the New Orleans Pelicans. Each NBA team is allowed 3 2-way contracts, and players may play in a maximum of 50 NBA games per season if they are on 2-way deals. So Dickinson will be able to be shuttled back and forth between New Orleans and Birmingham, where the Pelicans G League team is. I'm a little surprised it was a 2-way for Dickinson. I guess the vision is he's a good enough shooter for his size that, you can maybe space the floor with him, but I don't think the athleticism and the defense are NBA caliber, but it's not costing the Pelicans a whole lot to find out one way or another, and 7'2" is not coachable.
So I'm happy for Hunter Dickinson. I did not think he was going to get anything.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
So I'm happy for him.
I thought if it was going to be a 2-way contract, it was going to be between the food court at the mall and the Verizon at the mall that he was going to work at.
Yeah. Dude, he's going to be CBS Sports Network college basketball analyst forever. Like, he's going to have a TV job forever.
Oh, yeah, he is. You're right.
But here's why it makes sense. Joe Dumars, who runs basketball ops for the Pelicans, is stupid. He's very dumb. Great basketball player in his day. Very dumb.
He did draft Darko over Carmelo Anthony. Don't people forget that.
Yeah, what is it? Like the first 5 guys who went in that draft are all either in the Hall of Fame or LeBron, and he got none of them with the second pick.
Yeah, he had the second pick. He took Darko. The other Jayhawk to find a summer league spot, at least last night, was DeJuan Harris. He'll join the Charlotte Hornets summer league team. That will give him essentially an audition and a chance to maybe earn a 2-way contract. Teams will typically keep a 2-way contract or 2 open and use those on players who impress them at the summer league.
And that'll be tape that he can use for European teams or South American teams or whatever.
Yes, that's also true. Zeke Mayo also getting a summer league invite with the Washington Wizards. From the K-State side, Coleman Hawkins got a summer league invite from Golden State. So he'll play for the Warriors summer league team. As for players drafted in round 2, more familiar faces. Again, this was a good draft if you watched a lot of college basketball because you knew who these guys were, because it was a much more of a college-minded draft than some of the more foreign-minded drafts of recent years. Not a ton of Big 12 presence on the draft board. West Virginia guard Javon Small went number 48 to Memphis, and I think he was the only Big 12 player who was selected last night. One player with Kansas high school ties got himself a two-way contract. That's Tamar Bates, former standout at Piper, won a state title there in 2019, played his college basketball at Indiana and Mizzou. Obviously had the big game against KU this past season. I think he had 29 when Mizzou beat KU in Columbia. Signed a two-way deal with the Denver Nuggets, whose de facto showrunner over there right now is the son of owner Stan Kroenke, Josh Kroenke, who is a graduate of the University of Missouri. So there may be a connection there. But congratulations to Tamar Bates. If he makes the Nuggets, that'll be, and plays in a game for them, that'll be two guys I've seen play high school basketball in the state of Kansas who play for the Nuggets. Because I saw Tamar Bates play for, I think it was that championship team at Piper. They played at Hayden in the, I think it was the 18-19 season. So it was just after Hayden had won their state title, and they had all those guys graduate. That was the 18, I'm pretty certain. And then, 18-19, I think, was when Piper came to town, and we had that game on 580 WIBW. So good luck to Tamar Bates. That'd be a pretty cool story to be able to say that there are multiple Nuggets from the state of Kansas.
We had a question in the YouTube comments asking what the value of a two-way is. Look, this is old, but from sportsbusinessclassroom.com, that's a new one on me. It was $85,000 guaranteed per season, and you can have two-way contracts in your career. So that's what's guaranteed, and I'm sure you get a game check too. So that's essentially your signing bonus, then whatever your game check is, which I don't have that information.
And some guys get a chance to play a lot on those two-way deals, but you can only play 50 games, so you can't play a full season on a two-way deal.
You know who's a great story with a two-way, I believe, is Dean Wade.
Yeah, Dean Wade was on a two-way. That's how he started, and now he's on a full NBA contract.
Here's an example for you. Thanks, LinkedIn. The Cavaliers added Craig Porter Jr. 2 years ago, and he got $1.1 million for his two-way, which is a lot for a two-way.
Yeah.
That's like when you, with a UDFA in the NFL draft, when like, okay, that dude's going to make the roster because he got a real Brenning Stool, the Chiefs tight end.
Yeah.
And he might not make the roster, but they wanted him because they gave him, almost $300,000 guaranteed. So I think it's a similar kind of thing with a two-way. All right, first headline for me today on our final 580 Sports Talk headlines of the week. Where do we want to go with this today, Dan? Let's go with just an update on a story that we've had all week for you. It is even closer to being official that the Pac-12 is about to have its 8th football playing member. The conference has officially extended an offer to Texas State to join the league in July of 2026. And according to The Athletic, barring any late changes, the school is expected to officially accept the invitation on Monday. You might ask, why are you waiting? We all know this is going to happen. Apparently, there is a rule at Texas State University that they need to give 72 hours notice before they're allowed to have a board meeting or a chancellor's meeting or whatever they have, regents, whatever they have down there. So rules still matter to someone in this country. And they got to wait 72 hours. So Monday it will become official. It also sounds like the Sun Belt is going to add Louisiana Tech. That is going to happen to replace Texas State.
It's for sure them and not Western Kentucky?
I have seen Louisiana Tech today.
Okay.
And then Conference USA is not going to do anything. They're just going to stay at 10 members.
Well, yeah, because they're going to lose UTEP as well. UTEP is joining the Mountain West.
Yes. So they're just going to stay at 10 and be done with it. That is probably for the best. That's your realignment update for today.
So that means that the new Pac-12 looks like this. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Texas State, Utah State, and Washington State, plus Gonzaga in every sport that isn't football.
This conference loves land grants.
This is the new Pac-12. Texas State, by the way, I didn't realize this. They're up around 40,000 students.
Yeah, man.
The rapidly growing student body.
Yeah, well, I mean, Texas population continues to boom. I believe it's a very affordable state school. I was actually reading today that its academics have improved. I mean, it's not, it's not like you're going to Stanford, but its academics have improved because the student population has gone up. Also, I don't know what you know about San Marcos, but my understanding is that is a place you want to go spend 4 years in your late teens, early 20s. That is my understanding of that particular city.
It's not particularly far from San Antonio.
I don't believe it is. No, there's a river there.
Yeah.
Students float on it during games. That's all I got.
Cool.
I know it's a good time and there's a river. That's what I know about San Marcos.
So to get you caught up, that will be 8 football teams plus a 9th non-football member in Gonzaga. The league would like to add another non-football member. Chris Vanini of The Athletic reporting that there's been some overtures made to St. Mary's, who's been Gonzaga's big rival in the West Coast Conference all these years.
That'd be great.
For a non-football addition there. The new Mountain West looks like this: Air Force, Hawaii, Nevada, New Mexico, San Jose State, UNLV, UTEP, Wyoming, Northern Illinois in only football, and Grand Canyon and UC Davis as non-football schools. UC Davis has a pretty good little FCS program. Don't be surprised if they try to make the move up.
I think they will at some point.
And that would give the Mountain West an even 10 football schools. Conference USA adding to this year Delaware and Missouri State. They're going to lose. It sounds like they are going to lose UTEP. Sounds like they'll lose Louisiana Tech. That'll get them to 10. The MAC losing Northern Illinois next year. They're going to add UMass, or they have added UMass this year. So
welcome back.
They'll be at an even 12.
Yeah. So
hold your chairs. Everybody's got a chair and musical chairs until 2031.
Mountain West is not going to be nearly as strong, but adding Northern Illinois is positive for their football. That should still be an okay conference for football. Air Force and UNLV both got cash to stay.
A lot of money to stay.
That Pac-12 league is going to be fun, man. I mean, it's Oregon State and Washington State, which are decent programs, and then the best of the Mountain West and a Texas State team that has really been on the come up with G.J. Kinney as their head coach in recent years. That's a fun little league. There's also been plenty of reporting, not immediately, but within the next couple of years before that 2031 blow up, they would like to add a 9th football team as well, because the issue they're going to run into, 5 non-conference games is a lot. And because everyone will play an FCS game, certainly.
Yeah.
But that's 4 FBS opponents you got to find. That's a lot.
It is.
And I bet you they all play, or I bet you UConn will play almost all of them.
Yeah, there are a lot. There are the 2 independents, and Sacramento State's trying to join as an independent. They actually got declined. The NCAA,
and now they're suing.
Yes, so they're in litigation. Yeah, I don't know what the Mountain West looks like long term as a football conference. UNLV should probably dominate it, like just in terms of the resource advantage they should have over the rest of this league. Like Nevada's been good before. Air Force is typically very good. It is veering dangerously close to the keep your politics out of my sports zone, but Air Force, Army, and Navy will all be impacted in some way, shape, or form by actions of the federal government.
Yeah, I mean,
that is just always the case, but that is like really going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're the 3 FBS schools that are controlled by federal entities.
Right,
that's just going to happen.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Air Force.
Army's in a conference now too.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the latest in conference realignment. How about this headline from Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh's Instagram? He announced today he's going to be in the Home Run Derby. So we know the first 2 participants for next month's Home Run Derby when All-Star Week comes to Atlanta. Cal Raleigh, the major league leader with 32 home runs. Also, Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves has already announced his participation in this year's Derby. Reds star Ellie De La Cruz has turned down an invite. That's all we know for now as to who's going to be in and who's been invited. But if you haven't seen Cal Raleigh swing the bat, and again, West Coast baseball, you got to stay up late to watch a lot of the Mariners games. They're going to play the Royals for 4 next week. It's all going to be late night baseball. But if you have not seen Cal Raleigh, who I refuse to call by his nickname, I will not use it.
What's his nickname?
I will not use it. You're going to have to say it because I won't.
Yeah, I think it is our responsibility in this position that we have to inform the listener of these details.
Go ahead. It's fine. I think it's the worst nickname in sports.
Big Dumper.
Yeah, why are we talking about that man's behind like that?
He's got a big ass.
Why we got to put his?
He's got junk in the trunk.
But I don't understand.
He's packing.
I don't understand why we got to call it that.
Got those big old Texas honey buns back there.
Like if it was Big Yeeks Raleigh, like I would laugh. I would think that would be very funny. Big Dumper, no, absolutely not. Terrible nickname. Awful.
Big butt.
You got one more headline for us?
Yeah, one more real quick one from the NFL. Diamador Lenore, I just saw a chart on social media the other day. Maybe the best cornerback in man-to-man coverage last year in terms of like yards allowed per route run. He was really, really, really good. So if you're the San Francisco 49ers, you hate to see a headline that he was arrested Thursday on a charge of obstruction of justice. This from the AP and ESPN. Lenore was released from jail early today and is scheduled to appear in court next month. According to the LAPD, officers approached a group that included Lenore and observed a gun inside a parked vehicle. When police asked for the keys, another man tossed them to Lenore. Lenore then threw the keys to a third man who tried to hide them. Come on.
A shell game, hot potato.
Yes. The legal case of now you see them, now you don't. Don't think that's going to quite work out for you. In November, this past season, he signed a 5-year, $92 million extension. He's a good player. Really. They paid him and let Charvarius Ward walk, and we know Charvarius Ward's a good player. So, yeah, not what you want. This is why we talked about it last week. When minicamp and OTAs end, and before you get to training camp, every team is scared that their players will get arrested. 49ers are first on the board.
Yeah, and that would be a big deal if he has to miss some time for whatever reason this coming season. Because like you say, he's one of the best corners in the league last year. Real quick note, what's on tap for the weekend? The PGA Tour is in Detroit for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. It's a tournament where the winning score is typically pretty big, and that's going to be the case again as the leaders through 2 rounds are all at 14 under par already. They are Chris Kirk, Andrew Putnam, and a gentleman who I have never heard of named Philip Knowles. I don't think he's any relation to Beyonce, but I could check. Also, the NASCAR Cup Series races tomorrow night. They got night racing at Atlanta tomorrow. And the NHL's entry draft is this weekend. Who's going to go number 1 in the NHL draft, Brendan?
You, the fan.
No, it sounds like the consensus number 1 pick is defenseman Matthew Schaefer. The Islanders are on the clock.
Apologies to Matthew Schaefer.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and do kind of a bonus on second thought on this Friday, looking back at our Major League Baseball predictions that we made at the start of the year, at the midway point of the year. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. 5:35 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Brendan killing the time.
So have you ever heard the Zach Greinke golf simulator story?
I think I probably have.
Okay. Well, this popped up. Someone on the Everything app said, you will never find a closer relationship than a baseball team's fan base and the pitcher who was absolutely incredible for them during a period where every other player sucked. And a friend of mine posted a picture of Zach Greinke and two anecdotes. One is Mark Teahan and his dog. When Zach Greinke used to come to his house, say, can I take SP for a run? Would show up, not say anything, take the dog for an hour-long run, return, leave the dog without saying anything, and just leave. Very Zach Greinke. I like this story, though, from Whit Merrifield, if I may share it real quick.
Yes.
In Houston, they have this golf simulator in the hotel lobby. There were like 10 of us there messing around. Zach was down there. Then his family showed up, and he abruptly got up and said, I got to go. Family is here. 45 minutes later, he comes strolling back down. We're like, Zach, didn't expect to see you back. He goes, yeah, I saw the kids. Figured I'd rather come hit golf balls. Just barefoot, walking through the lobby of the Four Seasons like it's his kitchen.
I think my favorite Greinke story, I have two favorite Greinke stories. The one is when one of his teammates was in a slump, and it might have been Alex Gordon.
Alex Gordon, yep, I know the one.
It was Alex Gordon. And he said Greinke got Gordon to go like watch some film with him. And he put on tape, Greinke did, of himself hitting a home run. And it was like, you should just do that. Try to do that.
Totally serious.
And the other one is with him and Nicky Lopez, where they're talking about pets. And Lopez mentioned that he had a dog or something. And Greinke said, yeah, man, it's better to be a dog person than a cat person. You really can't trust anybody who has cats. And they shared a laugh. And Nicky Lopez says, so what about you? You have a dog? And Greinke goes, no, I have a cat, though.
One of those. You don't get personalities like that in other sports.
Man, I miss Zach. I wish he was still out. I bet he could still get 15 outs for somebody.
If they trade Lugo, they might need to try it.
Listen, man, all I'm saying is if Rich Hill's still, I know he's left-handed. He's got that going for him. But if Rich Hill is still kicking around at AAA, and look, Zach Greinke has made significantly more money in his career than Rich Hill did.
Yeah.
There's no need for him to chase one last job. But I wish he was, because the game is poorer without Zach Greinke.
But there is a reason for it. He has 2,979 strikeouts.
I'm saying, man.
He has 21 to go.
You got to get to 3,000. I think I missed on him on the Immaculate Grid once, guessing 3,000 strikeouts, and he didn't have 3,000.
So close.
Just right there on the cusp. Man, all-timer. We're at the midway point of the
Who's
major
captaincy we're going to the Hall of Fame, by the way?
He is going to be a Hall of Famer. That is a great question. He won the Cy Young with the Royals.
He spent twice as much time with the Royals as anyone else.
It might be Kansas City. Most career value, 9 seasons with Kansas City, even though he had an underwater all-time record. He was 66-91, but we all know that doesn't really matter.
And he still was 69 games above 500 for his career.
Yeah. Arizona, he had the best, with the Dodgers, he had the best winning percentage. He was 51-15.
He finished second in Cy Young voting in 2015 with them.
Yeah, when he had good teammates, he won a lot of games. That's why we throw that out the window a little bit when it comes to evaluating a pitcher's career. But yeah, he spent 9 of his 20 seasons with the Royals, at least some portion of it. And I would hope it would be Kansas City. Most strikeouts, most innings pitched, most games started, all that with the Royals. Won the Cy Young, had his best season with the Royals.
Dude, I'm not upset about it because the guy who did win the award in the NL, in 2015, Zach Greinke led the majors in wins above replacement. He had a 1.66 ERA and didn't win the Cy Young. That's how untouchable Jake Arrieta was for 3 months.
Yeah, man. Arrieta was like Clint Eastwood for the last 2 months of that season.
Dude, it's the greatest second half I will probably ever see in my life. If you weren't there for it, you don't know. But oh my God, it was incredible. He had a paltry 1.77 ERA.
Yeah, it was one of those where there wasn't really a bad choice.
Meanwhile, Kershaw threw 232 innings and had 300 strikeouts.
And finished a distant third.
Yeah, not even close.
He did get 3 first-place votes, but man, like, you look at the list of pitchers who got Cy Young votes in the National League that year. Holy Moses. Arrieta, Greinke, Kershaw, Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Madison Bumgarner, Jacob deGrom. That's pretty good. That's pretty good top 7.
Yeah.
Game was in a good spot.
Even Mark Melancon got 51 saves.
Yeah. Led baseball.
John Lackey got a vote.
He did. John Lackey got a vote for going 13-10.
He led the league in starts, and he got a vote.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at the American League Cy Young voting for 2015. I do not remember Sean Tolleson at all, but he received votes for the Cy Young that year. He saved 35 games for the Rangers.
Yeah, he did.
He would pitch one more major league season after that.
Dylan Betances got a vote. Dallas Keuchel won the award.
Yeah.
And then immediately turned into a pumpkin.
Oh, weird year. You know what hasn't been a super weird year this year in Major League Baseball? Most of the teams we thought were going to be good have been good. The Dodgers, for example. We all, you, me, and Spencer, picked the Dodgers to win the World Series. I would still be shocked at this point if they do not win the World Series. All of us picked the Cubs to win the National League Central. I think they're going to make a splash at the deadline.
I think so, too.
If they're not going...
Shoot, man, I hope so. We need a pitcher badly.
If they're not going to keep Kyle Tucker long-term, and all signs point to no, you need to cash in some chips and try and win a World Series when you got a player as good as Kyle Tucker anchoring one of the best lineups in the National League. We all thought in the American League that the Rangers, Royals, and Orioles were going to be really good. And at this point, would it surprise you if none of those teams made the playoffs?
Nope.
The only difference of opinion we had on division winners was I think Spencer picked the Red Sox in the AL East. That doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Nope.
So we whiffed a little bit on the American League. Brendan, you did not predict the Yankees would make the playoffs. Your thoughts?
They have kind of sucked the last 2 weeks. They're going to make the playoffs, but they've kind of sucked the last 2 weeks.
And their division leads down to half a game. Yeah, they were nuclear.
Not dead yet.
They were nuclear hot the first couple of weeks of the season, but as it turns out, Paul Goldschmidt is not, in fact, still 28 years old.
Yeah.
And Ben Rice is not, in fact, Babe Ruth.
No, put him in Rice.
And Trent Grisham is not going to hit 14 home runs every month of the season.
No, that certainly will never happen again.
So, yeah, they're
not looking good, but not dead with that one.
Little regression to the mean. Another big whiff for us. You and me, we predicted that Dodgers pitcher Roki Sasaki would win the National League Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I didn't account that he would have to spend 3 months in the arm shredding factory.
Yeah, 4.72 ERA and 8 starts, and he's on the IL with no timetable for return.
No, in fact, he did return. He was starting to return, and then they said, "Oh wait, actually, no, very bad. Stop pitching, please."
Yeah, I had him and Jason Dominguez of the Yankees as my Rookie of the Year picks. And Jason Dominguez more and more. I mean, he's only 22. I can't write him off yet, but he's looking like just a guy.
He also had a crazy start to the year. At least like first 2 weeks, and then
yeah, every Yankee did. It was crazy.
Who are my award winners? Do you have it up right now?
I don't have it up on the screen, but I can pull it up. I can put it on the screen here right now. In fact, we can do the predictions for all the baseball.
Every
there they
day
are.
We find
new
ways
YouTube.
to use our video capabilities.
So we all thought Bobby Witt Jr. was going to win the MVP.
Alas.
Aaron Judge still alive, as it turns out. Feeling okay about my Shohei Ohtani MVP pick. You went with Juan Soto. Spencer was with me on Ohtani. We all had Paul Skeens winning the National League Cy Young. Like, he's been awesome. It would be very funny if he wins the Cy Young and his record is like 3-10, like 4-12.
Probably will be, man.
He wins the Cy Young anyway. I'm feeling good about Scooble winning the American League Cy Young.
Yeah, I went with Logan Gilbert, and he's only had 8 starts. He was injured for a while. He's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel any sort of guilt about picking him, but it ain't going to happen.
Right now, your wins above replacement leaders for pitchers are Paul Skeens and in the American League, Hunter Brown of the Houston Astros.
Sure.
Having a monster year. They call him Diesel. Great nickname for a pitcher. Award winners, again, you and I went with Roki Sasaki. Spencer went with his guy, Dylan Cruz of the Nationals. That's not happening either. I don't think any of us landed on the American League Rookie of the Year winner either. Spencer had Roman Anthony of Boston. He just got called up. He had Cam Smith of the Astros. He's having a fine year.
Yeah. Decent rookie year.
None of those guys are hitting 350 like Jacob Wilson of the A's.
In defense of all of us, no one picked that.
We did not know who that was.
The most diehard A's fan was like, who?
All that dude does is make contact, throw out hits. He's averages down to 345. My mistake.
Bum.
Yeah, 345.
It's over.
for the 23-year-old Jacob Wilson. Yeah, he's
John Rave better.
I no longer think the Rangers are going to win the pennant. How you feel about the Red Sox?
Not great.
Now,
I don't know who's going to win the pennant in the AL.
yeah, great question, because the teams that have been really good, like, it'd be too easy to say the Yankees. Like, they're going to get Luis Gil back to bolster their pitching staff, and I'm sure they'll make a move at the deadline. But, like, do they have enough offense? Are we sure they have enough offense behind Judge?
Not really. No.
Like,
and okay, wow, Yankees win the pennant. Congrats on getting swept by the Dodgers.
Yeah. Also,
I don't want to see that again.
Also, picking that is lame. Who picks that?
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, that's not fun. It's like saying, oh, you know whose stock price I think is going to be good? Microsoft.
It's going to be the Astros.
It might be.
It's
like they keep unearthing pitching.
We're totally ignoring the team with the best record in the AL. That's in the Royals division.
We are.
And they have the best pitcher.
They do.
He might not win Cy Young, but he's the best pitcher.
Yeah, they get to throw him at you twice in a 7-game series.
He's so good.
Scooble. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, look ahead to this weekend at the K. The Royals taking on the Dodgers on 580 Sports Talk. One of the teams that will take the field at Kauffman Stadium this weekend features the league leader in batting average, on-base percentage, home runs, slugging, and OPS. And as a team, leads all of baseball in runs, hits, home runs, batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS. The other team is the Kansas City Royals. By the way,
cool.
Would you have known, if I had not put it in the rundown, that Dodgers catcher Will Smith is leading the National League in batting average?
Nope. Well, I had no idea.
Yeah, it is.
What is his average?
325.
Okay.
Is good enough to lead the league by 16 points.
There are so few 300 hitters.
There are only 4 qualified hitters in the National League batting over 300. 2 of them play for the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman is hitting 309. The other 2, former Guardian Josh Naylor hitting 307 for the D-backs. And Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals, he started hot. He's cooled, but he's hitting 301. Those are your only 300 hitters. In the American League, let me dig those up real quick. Over in the American League, obviously Aaron Judge leads the league at 361. They've got a lot of 300 hitters. Jacob Wilson, who we just mentioned. Jonathan Aranda, who we just saw for the Rays.
Yep.
Jeremy Pena, who's going to get himself paid.
Oh, yeah.
The Houston shortstop. Jose Ramirez, as ever. Alejandro Kirk, big beefy boy behind the plate for Toronto, hitting 313. Maikel Garcia, obviously, at 309. Jake Myers of the Astros is at 306, along with Steven Kwan. And Ernie Clement of the Blue Jays hitting 303. That's just the top 10. I don't know if anybody else hitting 300 in the American League.
That's wild.
But, yeah, only 4 300 hitters in the National League.
It's a different game, folks.
Tonight, Noah Cameron will be tasked with trying to slow down baseball's best lineup. The left-hander for the Royals has seen his ERA jump a little bit to 2.08, but still continuing to pitch well, keep hitters off balance. He will face tonight Shohei Ohtani at DH leading off. He's pitching tomorrow, by the way, so make sure you don't miss that. Probably only get an inning. Maybe he gets 2, but it'll be a short outing for Ohtani, but he will pitch. Mookie Betts is a shortstop batting second. Teoscar Hernandez in right field, Freddie Freeman at first base, Will Smith catching in the heart of the order. Andy Pages is the center fielder, Tommy Edman at second base, Max Muncy, who needed corrective vision lenses this whole time.
Yeah.
And got them and has been nuclear hot since he got his eyes checked. He's at third, batting eighth. Kike Hernandez batting ninth in left field. Dustin May gets the start on the mound for the Dodgers. He had a terrible year from an injury perspective, didn't get on the mound last season. So just him being healthy and available is a step forward. But May hasn't been great this year. 4-5 record with a 4.46 earned run average. Can miss bats, throws a power sinker, 72 strikeouts and 78 2/3 innings. The lineup for the Royals tonight: Jonathan India is at second base, Bobby Witt Jr. is at short, Maikel Garcia is at third, Vinny Pasquantino DHs and hits cleanup tonight, Salvador Perez is at first, batting fifth, and then Jack Haglione in right hits sixth. 7, 8, 9, John Rave in left, Freddie Fermin behind the plate, Kyle Isbell in center field. The difference could not be. Are you familiar with the internet meme hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby?
Yes.
That's what I see when I look at the lineups next to each other.
For what it's worth, I think the coughing baby would beat the hydrogen bomb.
Really?
You've dealt with a coughing baby.
Man, I have dealt with a coughing baby.
It's like, oh my God, wow, I wish we had a hydrogen bomb right now.
Jeffrey in the YouTube comments asked for a score prediction. I don't think the Royals are going to win. This would be a game that they could get after Dustin May tonight. They could. Dustin May's not that great. Throws strikes, but he's not missing a ton of bats. His ERA's in the mid-4s. Like, he's not awesome.
Here's my score prediction. Royals 18. Dodgers kind of one-sided, isn't it? For you Space Jam fans in the building.
Yeah. Saturday will be a bullpen day for the Dodgers with Ohtani starting. TBA for Sunday. We still know who's going to start for the Dodgers on Sunday. That'll be Chris Bubich for the Royals. It's Seth Lugo on Saturday. You have to like how the pitching matchups line up for the Royals to be able to try and keep the Dodgers in check. That, guess you'll have to wait and see. You never know in baseball. I'll take a timeout, come back with a final word after this. Final word time on 580 Sports Talk. I'll go first. Asking this Royals offense to keep up with the Dodgers offense this weekend is a little like asking me to keep up with Noah Lyles in a 100-meter dash. But then again, you never know. Royals have 3 good starting pitchers on the hill this weekend. If they can keep the scores manageable, maybe break out against a Dodgers pitching staff that's not super impressive. Maybe, just maybe, this is the weekend the Royals could turn the ship around. It'd be huge for morale if they could upset the Dodgers in this series. Brendan, this is going to be your last time with us for a little bit, so I want to give you the final word.
Yeah, final word for me today is not going to be on the show full-time for a little bit. Taking a step back, company asked, sometimes got to make some sacrifices, some changes. They say, hey, we need you to fill in some other places, and that's what I'll be doing. For the time being, don't have a timeline for it or whatever. I will not be gone full-time. I will tell you that right now. I'll be back, popping in here and there. We've got some big shows coming up, some big events and whatnot I will be here for, but just have some other responsibilities that I got to take care of for the time being. But I'll pop in on the show. If you're listening to 5:80 a.m. in the morning, you'll hear the leading off comments. I'll do some stuff for the YouTube. But thinking about you guys, because I love hanging out with you every single day. Dan, that includes you as well. And Spencer, of course, too. So it'll be a bit different, but it's certainly not goodbye. I'll be back here in the near future, just taking a step back for a little bit.
Just to see you around for our guy BD, and we will be seeing him around, and we'll have him back full-time, we hope, very soon. That's going to do it for us. We'll have some overtime until 6:30, then pregame coverage of Royals baseball. We're back on Monday from 3 until 6. For Brendan, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night!